Hey there, friendlies. How's up? What a night. What an evening. Sorry I'm late. I was busy with school governing board stuff, but I am now free for the evening, though unfortunately not free of the governing board. I'm prepping for it tonight with a little brewski. Just but going back to something I had said in my recent sort of health video. I'm going back to this being the only beer I drink all week. Just the one that one during the live streams, because I want to see how it does me. You know what I'm saying? Lately, my dad was in town. It was Thanksgiving. There were birthday parties. There was stuff. And I've been having a whole lot of drinks, many beers, and I feel that is sort of adding on to the waistline. So I'm going back to this being my one beer of the week. This desk is a mess. I'm glad you guys can't see this. Speaking of the one beer a week, this is what I'm having. Shine Rouge by Oshlag. Shine is oak, I think. So Shine Rouge is red oak. Do I have that right? Maybe it's got some fancy little no, it just says, yeah, it's infused with oak shavings, red oak shavings. That's why it's called Shine Rouge. Shine Rouge. So I think it's a straight up, yeah, it's 5%. So standard Canadian beer. I like ales. I don't like pilsners and stuff like that. I like malt rather than hop. So, all right. So who do we have with us here? We have Raspberry Rock, which is Russell. Always nice to see your name show up in the side chat there. Charles W. Nice to see your name as well. Grace, of course. How's it going? Tenenbaum. Yeah, man. Fab Online LLC is in the house. We got Chris. We got Cliff. Good crew here tonight so far. And we have 13 people watching and 5 thumbs ups. What's up with you guys? What was I going to say? Yeah, so hi Mark. Today I didn't even set up beforehand tonight because I was preparing. I was going to start preparing, and let's say about 10 minutes before I finished work. Sorry, I just closed a window I shouldn't have. 10 minutes before I finished work, we had one turkey too many this year for Thanksgiving, so my wife prepared them both, and today I roasted one while I was working, and 10 minutes before I ended work, I went to take it out and take the aluminum paper off so that I could brown it, and spilt roast turkey juice direct out of the oven onto, I was wearing one of those, a barbecue glove kind of thing, right? They're like oven mitts, but they're gloves. And it got very hot very fast, and I was trying to pull it off, but I was wearing another one of the gloves, so I couldn't get it off. So it was burning while the glove was on, and I finally ripped it off and dunked my hand in some cold water and stuff. But I finished my workday typing one-handed, which was crazy, and dealing with this aftermath, soak, little polysporin, whatever, wiped out the time that I usually have to set the live streams up, which is why none of you got a note earlier today about tonight's live stream. And what I was gonna, I had a few things that I might have thought of talking about, but I didn't really have time to really think any of them really through. One thing that I thought I might want to talk about was riffing off of this book that I'd shown a couple of weeks ago or last week, to just sort of dream about what, or ask you guys, like, if you guys had access to a piece of land, you owned it or you had permission to use it, and you wanted to build like a semi-permanent shelter, which style of shelter would you guys do? Because I'm still sort of wondering about that thing I said, and I don't want to bore you guys too much. So I'm going to like hit on it and dance away. But I'm still thinking about that idea that I have, that YouTube has homogenized the bushcraft that we do, right? Very often it's a variant of the same sort of lean-to style shelter or whatever. And like back when people had no YouTube or Facebook or any of these homogenizing social things, there were a bazillion kinds of shelters to make, right? Like here's one that's completely off the ground, right? It's a platform up above the ground. And I think I remember Scrambled O was building something up in the trees, and I think Bushcraft Heroes were building something like a castle in the trees as well, I think. But so often it's the same concept over and over and over. And I'm thinking about this because I would build the same thing, the same sort of slant-backed thing, because it's dead easy to build. Semi-permanent. If you do it right, you get a certain amount of rainproofing at any rate. You know, it's like the biggest difference is, do you build a raised bed to sleep on, or do you just put boughs on the ground, you know? Excuse me, guys. Still not quite right. Okay, where was I? I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anyone in the side chat. Lipstick Lodge. No beer for me, but I'm getting weight from wine and laying around in the trailer. Yeah, I was definitely laying around for a couple of weeks when the kid was sick. I wasn't doing my my daily walk or run or anything. Sam Jackson is in the house. How's it going? Cliff says he's in the greenhouse putting plants away because it's getting close to freezing this week. I think we've hit freezing on a couple of nights, but almost not. It's beautifully, it's just been beautiful out. Mark won't be here long. He's going to hit the hay pretty soon. Hey, Steve, how's it going? Ian says he thumbed. Nice. Was that a smiley thumb or a frowny thumb? Anyways, I wouldn't be mad. I don't have the energy to be. I don't get mad. I have people do that for me. Yeah, man, that was, oh man, it still hurts. I think because I really jumped on it. Once I tore off the stupid glove, I sort of went across the kitchen. I got into cold water right away, so I don't have a lot of blistering. I mean, I do have blistering, but they're small. So I consider myself to be, yeah, at least it wasn't hot oil, right? Yeah, man, it was so hot. Lipstick Lodge, you couldn't even get turkey breast around there, so you had chicken. Couldn't find pumpkin pie either. I didn't make pumpkin pie this year. I do love pumpkin pie. I don't know why we didn't make it this year. We have a pumpkin. Well, I do know why, because I forgot it was Thanksgiving coming up. And so this entire thing was a real sort of pull together thing. For the turkey, okay, I went to the store and found a turkey. It was pre-seasoned, which we never buy, but I was there the day before Thanksgiving. So, and it looked fairly small. So I went to another store and same turkey there, but there were two of them. And so I grabbed one and I'm holding it up and I'm like, is this big enough for 13 people? And so I call my wife and I got like, okay, they have two turkeys. I have one. And just as I said, I have one, a guy came walking up and put his hand on the other one. And I said, it's 5 kilos. It's 5.3 kilos. And my wife's like, well, no, we're not going to be able to feed 13 people. What do you mean there's a second one? I said, yeah, but a guy just took it. And she's just like, why do you always do this? You should have grabbed them both. And then she starts, because I should have thought. And While I'm on the phone with her, I look to the guy and I hear through his phone, he's suddenly getting yelled at by his wife, right? Because same deal, last minute, everyone's stressed. And so he steps away to go and have the argument with his wife on his phone. So I grab the other turkey and just beat it. But here's the thing. The eternal danger of living in Canada is it was 5.6 kilos, not 5.6 pounds. So, of course, we could have fed the whole freaking family. And we did. And we had an entire turkey left over, which I cooked today so that we can do turkey pot pies and stuff for Christmas. So that guy could have brought home a turkey too. But instead, I was like, sorry, man. I know the brotherhood and everything, but I got to go. So, anyways, what else? So that was my turkey purchasing story. And maybe I was paying for that today by singeing myself. Singeing. I tell you, I just got beer all over my keyboard, so I'm just going to clean that up. That's why I'm not looking at you beautiful people. By which I mean that beautiful lens. Oh, I am covered in beer. Hold on, guys. Just give me a second here. That's in my slippers and everything. There's a little look into Jesse's lip. Oh, it's in my slippers and everything. Like 2 seconds from retirement age or something, right? Oh, well, okay. Well, Chris, there's the thing. We haven't even eaten the turkey that burned me because we're going to make pies out of it for Christmas. Where was I? David Evans in the house. Hey there. Lipstick Lodge says tiny house. I don't remember why though. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, I do. You would build a tiny house out in the woods. Okay. Would that be an off-grid house or an on-grid house? David says I would build a tree house. Fab Online says aircrete domes for any environment. The problem, that's not really a bushcraft shelter though. You know, that's more like a full-on permanent. Same as a tiny house, I guess. You know, those aren't really little bushcraft shelters. Those are actual like country places, which I would love to have, by the way. Lipstick is going to be winterizing the trailer this weekend. I have to do a little drywalling this weekend, which I love doing. Pumpkin and apple pie. Yeah, I am. When I make my pumpkin pie, I put some maple syrup in it because, you know, Quebecois. Young Homestead, how's it going? Tenenbaum says, the metric system, confusing regular folk and helping scientists in Canada since 1970. I don't know anyone who thinks in imperial anymore. Like, but I mean, I'm Generation X, right? We're the generation that were born at the same time as metric in Canada, almost. You know, it was far enough back for most of us that we didn't really have to think about it too much. Kat says she's continually not as nice as she wants to be. I think many, many people have that problem. And I see that Hike with Mike has entered the room. Hey there, Hike. I keep doing that. Hey there, Mike. Okay, Sam says something interesting. We were not a formula family. We were a breastfeeding family, but due to things beyond our control, for our second child, we did have to move to formula. And because she was wickedly allergic to milk, it caused knock-on allergies to many different kinds of formula. So there's only really one kind of formula we could buy. And it was always like down to the last two on the shelf. And because the first or second week, I had to go to 6 different pharmacies. Thank the gods, pharmacies are open until 10 here. Trying to find this stuff. Even if there were only 2, I never took the last one on the shelf. I always made sure to leave one. Because that night when I was cruising all over town looking for this stuff and like no one had it, it's not a feeling I would wish on anyone else. So, though I will take the last turkey when the guy who was grabbing it steps away to argue with his wife, it's something about kids that kind of get me where I live, you know? I love the way your story finishes off. I got so burned. Man. Whew. Oh, lipstick. You're off grid and it's being built next year. Nice. Nice. I love it. How big a piece of land do you have? Hike with Mike says, I would build an elevated Seminole. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Is that Seminole? Shelter. I wonder. Is that in this, Mike? Like, can I look that up? Or should I just look it up online? My jam video? Oh, the one that I posted on Russell's Discord? Yeah, we've got, I think, 5 of those up on the band's YouTube channel. All of them have been copyright claimed, of course, but we were expecting that. So, Fab's gone, but he says happy late Thanksgiving. David says he will take metric over imperial anytime. I will as well. And here's a funny little factoid that I discovered back when I was doing a science podcast with a friend of mine who at that point was a physics student, PhD student. What the hell's the terminology in English? You know, he was at, I don't know, one of the big Boston ones, Harvard, I think. Is that the U.S. system is metric in that the official length of an inch in wherever the hell the officialdom is in the United States is measured in millimeters. Like all of the U.S. weights and measures, like the official version of those are using metric weights and measures. Or like, you know, the distance light travels in like a millionth of a second kind of thing. But like none of it is based on the old imperial system anymore. So it's all like this imperial facade on the metric system anyway. $90 by $150. Be nice to have some land. Absolutely. Big enough for a tiny house, shed, garden, composting, wood shed, trailer, and truck parking. Yeah, that sounds nice. I would like to have a piece of land backing on like crown land. So that even if I have a fairly small, like just a few hectares or something, I'm backing onto like epic forest. That's what I'd like to have. But I mean, that's a bucket list thing, right? It's not something I can realistically think about right now. And then I would build myself a little log cabin on there. Now, I've always been the type to think, come on, man, I don't want like a wood burning stove. I want a fireplace. But I think I've changed my mind on that. If I was to build a little log cabin, I think I'd go for a wood burning stove. I just feel, having experienced both now, I think that the stove, a nice metal stove, I think it radiates the heat through the area a little more efficiently, or a little more. I can't back that up with anything scientific or metric, but it feels to me that a wood burning stove, especially if you get from Lee Valley, that little fan that works by like, there's no electricity. It goes on your wood burning stove, and as it heats up, it starts to spin and move the air around. That doesn't work on a fireplace. Russell says that having lots of land rocks, as he well knows. Damn it. Oh yeah, I love me some fir trees. I'm big into conifers. Mike says the only time I use metric all the time is when I used to do long distance running. I miss those days. Yeah. And that's probably because of the Olympics. Like international, like anything international is always based in metric. Oops. Russell says that wood burning stoves also rock. A lot rocks. He knows because he's got all this stuff. Andrew says, I love the wood burning stove. It heats our house in the winter. Yeah. Charles says, I agree, wood burning stove is more efficient than a fireplace. Absolutely. Lots of maple trees is good because if you find the dead ones, maple burns long and hot because it's a nice hardwood. I love what David says to Russell here. You don't have lots of land. You have your own province. I love it. I love it. Any way you want. Just let me do one little thing here. So, do all my my Canuck viewers and friends, did you all have a good Thanksgiving? Giving of thanks? What's the other name for it? There's an American name for it as well, but I don't remember what it is. Actually, there's two American names for it now. But I feel that talking about that might get political, so I'm going to shy away from it and move right along. Russell showing off, having your own province rocks. Young Homestead says, wood stove put out way more heat than a fireplace. I heated my house in Maine for 20 years with a wood stove. Yeah, I love I love a nice wood stove. Chris says something interesting that I have noticed as well. We can't even get footwear and clothing in consistent sizes. Maybe measurements are just meant to be specific to the application or society using it. Dude, it used to be that a size 32 pants or whatever was 32 inches. This is why European sizes had different numbers, and the numbers were higher because it was centimeters instead of inches. But it's like over the past 20, 25 years, the Gap and H&M and Zara and La Maison Simon or whatever it is, none of these sizes are consistent anymore. So they're clearly not based in reality the way they used to be, which means that like I can no longer just, I'm a size 32, buy me a pair of pants kind of thing, which sucks because I hate shopping for clothes. Mike says, if I ever move to a cooler climate when retirement time comes, I would definitely want a home with a loft. All that warm would rise up to the loft to keep you warm in the winter. Well, yeah, look at Sean James's old cabin, right? He had his bed up in the loft. That guy probably never froze at night. I would probably try to do the same thing. You know, like I'm not sold on it. I haven't built a log cabin yet or anything, but I think I might put the bed up in the loft as well. I'm getting older, so maybe not, but you know. Wood stoves should have big glass doors. I'm surprised how many people buy wood stoves with no glass. Yeah, a lot of people do. I like the look. You know, I like to see the flickering light through the glass, but does it make a big difference in terms of heating? Yes, Indigenous Peoples Day. Absolutely. That's what the other name. That's one of the other names. There's another name down there as well, but I don't remember what it is. Hey there, Long's Quest. How's it going? Mike, You think in the future the artwork of the tailor and the cobbler are going to come back into importance? That's possible. It's very possible. I feel that as time goes on, we're entering we're penetrating deeper and deeper into a all bets are off kind of time. So you might be right about that. Man, mentioning the difference between wood stoves and fireplaces has really set you guys off. David says fireplaces are not heat efficient. All the heat goes up the chimney, which is definitely true. Lisette showed how to clean a wood stove. Appreciated that vid. It's important. You got to clean that thing out on occasion, and you got to clean out your the pipe as well. I mean, chimney sweeps, right? Chimney sweeps existed for a reason, because you can't have your creosote and everything building up, and then suddenly you end up with a chimney fire. I believe the same thing is true if you're using a wood burning stove. Sorry, I muted myself because I was coughing. The audio did not die. Cat Max says, Mom and Dad had a wood stove in the rock cabin in Missouri. Dad was smart, knew how to take care of the chimney, make sure no carbon monoxide poisoning, plus had a CL monitor. I kind of feel that you only really have to worry about that if your house has any kind of efficiency to it. Like, if you built yourself a log cabin that has, chinks and, it's breezy in a storm, then you don't have to worry about that. But if you have a place that's got some nice, like tight fitting windows and so good, not isolation, insulation, then stuff like that sort of becomes more of an issue. Why the hell would you need a fireplace in North Carolina? Does the temperature ever go down to some place where you need it? Now, granted, that's epically Quebec thinking, right? Because it'll hit -30 in the winter up here. I just feel that anyone who lives south of me has more temperate climate, and that doesn't mean that people don't get cold. That's a silly position for me to take. Sorry, Russell. Didn't mean to throw you off there. Cliff says, I can show my fireplace if need be. Cleaning it is easy, and it will, in fact, heat the whole house. But you don't live in an ordinary house. Okay. Fair enough. I definitely do live in an ordinary house. I think I see Carol Long. Hi, Carol. Canadian says, Went to look at a property today. Going to put an offer in when allowed. 16 acres out in the woods, and no offers till the 25th, but I'm excited. 16 acres sounds like a respectable amount of land. I'm trying to sort of do the conversion to hectares. But yeah, that sounds like a nice little chunk of land. I'm excited for you. I think that's great. It's going to be fabulous. You going to build something on it, or does it have something on it already? You know, I know people who buy a chunk of land just to have a place to go and hunt. Like, they don't build anything. They pitch a tent and freeze their butts off during hunting season, or they put like a roulotte. You know those little trailers that you used to take camping? Camper trailers, trailer campers, those things. You know what I'm talking about. You know, they just leave one of those out there. I believe strongly in what Russell says here, except for the keeping bears part. Close to a lake? All right, nice. Yeah, but I guess if you say roughly a football field, it doesn't really matter if you're asking about an American one or a Canadian one, right? Nothing but woods on it. Nice. I love it. I love it. 2 Amish cabins and an outdoor kitchen. 2 turntables and a microphone. That sounds terrific. An outdoor kitchen for me would be a necessity. Out in, I think it's Victoria, British Columbia, they have a like one of those historical places. Like, it's a historical mill, like with a water wheel, and the house and stuff that used to be there. And like 200 years ago in BC and other provinces, and probably down in the States as well, a lot of these places would have like a winter kitchen indoors, but they'd have a summer kitchen, which had like the big wood burning range, you know, those huge ovens with several doors on them, but they're wood burning. They'd have one of those outside. They would have pots and stuff outside. It was just like a roof, like a wall to hang your stuff on and everything. But it was open. It was open air cooking, even though you were using one of these big wood burning ovens and stoves, ranges. I think they called it a range. And I love that idea. I would love to have an outdoor kitchen and an indoor kitchen. So when it's 40 below and driving snow, I can be cooking inside my cozy little wood wood sticks log cabin. And when it's temperate or it's early fall and I want to be sniffing that early fall air as I cook my breakfast or whatever, I can use the outdoor kitchen. I think an outdoor kitchen is, I was going to say necessity, but that turns us into like, that's really first world problem territory. But I would love to have a wooden, a log cabin with an outdoor kitchen. Now, Russell's asking an interesting question about that, Jerry. Is there any water on that property? Oh, Lipstick has a 10-year lease. Okay. Yeah, Cliff, if the wood stove is in good condition, they last forever, right? So, I mean, why not? You could save some real money buying secondhand or having something old. Just taking a look. Make sure Cat says, Canadian, make sure it has lots of area above the water lines. Absolutely. Steve says that he has land that's 300 feet by 1 mile. So what the hell is 300 feet? Because 1 mile is what? Is that 2 kilometers? I guess. Yeah, Russell, Sean James's outdoor kitchen was really, really cool. I really like how he built it. He really put some cool thought into it. I especially like that little circular thing that he put his coffee pot on. Just really cool ideas, that guy. Russell does not have an outdoor kitchen, but he wants to make a big ass stone barbecue / smoker. Yeah, yeah, David. I wanted to put a wood stove in my garage as well because my garage is essentially it's a workshop more than an actual garage, but of course they've banned wood burning here. So, and I don't want to. So I don't want to put it like a little gas stove in the corner because to me having the stove, it's about the environmental nuance of having a little wood burning stove. The way the heat that radiates kind of it feels alive, right? The heat almost kind of flickers, whereas with something gas or electric, it's just the static heat. It's not the same. No, not interested. I'd rather just put baseboard heaters in if I can't have a wood stove. No yawning allowed. Now that you've pulled our attention to it, I won't be able to stop, right? Canadian, if you get it, I'll be giddy for you. That sounds fabulous. Carol canned says caned, but I think she means canned many tomatoes in an outside kitchen. There's just something about cooking outdoors, whether it's over a campfire or anything. There's something about just. I just like being in the outdoors when I'm not in the city. Even here, if I'm having like a real sort of a rough day, I'll just step into my backyard and you know, breathe in the scent of the trees or the grass or whatever for a little while. Serge is here. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Serge is here. Sorry. You haven't missed much. You missed the beer pour, but that's okay. Russell says that there are 25 watching. How many? Oops. Oh no! I just crashed my other browser. It's amazing. I love it when I do that. Tabernacle. Oh well. Well, I'll just trust you on that. How many thumbs ups do I have, Russell? Russell, aren't you one of my mods? Oh, the mods don't show up in StreamYard. They only show up on the YouTube window thing list. Oh my god, just move along. Okay, so 2 clicks is 1.2 miles. So yeah, okay, if I'm rounding. Yeah, that's my question as well, Jerry. If you get that property, you're gonna do some videos? Build a little shelter? Like something out of Schwip, this book right here? Yeah, I would love to build a place, a piece of land. That'd be amazing. Yeah, cat. Oops. Everything shifted just as I clicked on this. Yeah, I love the feel of a natural fire, even through the stove. And it might be psychosomatic, right? But I feel that when I'm sitting next to a wood stove, I can feel sort of the heat kind of throbs a little bit. I believe. I'm just taking a look. David says, my garage is also my workshop. I want to be able to work out there in winter. I would like to as well. I really cannot work in my garage in winter. It's not weatherproofed at all. So if I leave tools out there, by the time spring comes around, they're like a massive rust. So my main workshop is right here in my basement. Some of my very early live streams I streamed from in there using my laptop. That's where the workbench that I built is and everything. But what I would like to do is finish off the garage, set it up completely as a workshop, and just move everything out there, have it insulated and have it heated for when I'm out there and I'm working on some stuff. But I mean, that's years away because it's a lot of money. It's many dollars. I'm slipping behind on the chat. Sorry, guys. Russell, you're absolutely right. Breathing in the scent of grass and trees rocks. So does. You follow the couple from Azerbaijan. She can cook up a storm. I said, I don't even know them. Hey, look who's here. How's it going, Colin? Hey, see, Russell's being his usual classy self. You don't have to make serious videos. Dude, you can just do a whole bunch of shorts, right? Like on a phone. Or just show some pics. Man, it sounds so cool. It sounds so good. I hope you get it, man. If you don't get it, I'm going to be so sad for you. Steve is going moose hunting. Oh, yeah, you're out in Gaspésie, aren't you? Charles is going to be building soon. Nice. Serge, your property is 220 feet by 1,700 feet. I don't really know how much that is, but it sounds pretty big. Like I kind of know what 200 feet is, because when I used to hunt, I had my cache set up about 100 feet from the carrot pile. Oh, moose warning sign. They got a lot of those on the island of Newfoundland. Let me tell you. Tell me. Yeah, but Russell, I think you will be able to at some point once stuff sort of gets paid down a little bit. It's just you're entering a very expensive time right now, but it's not going to be permanent, I don't think. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to turn my light on. Am I too dark for you guys? I can turn my light on if you guys feel that this is too dark. Yeah, David, you're going to have to... Yeah, you have to insulate a garage if you're going to put a workshop in there. Absolutely. Oh, nice. Colin, I've had a hard time figuring out when you go live. Like, I thought you went live like every Wednesday, but then I think I saw you live on a Friday or something. Like, do you have a specific weekly live and then you just sort of do a sporadic live every now and again? $260 acres in Renfrew. Hell yeah. See, here's the thing. I don't have access to land anywhere that I can get to relatively easily. If I did, believe me, it'd be amazing. But the place where I used to go to hunt, we lost that land because the owner, a friend of ours, died. And his wife sold it. And it was like sort of like the last piece of land I had access to. And I don't even need a place to go and hunt anymore. I'm fine if I don't get to go hunting, but I would really like to have a place to go and have a fire and a coffee in the woods. Some bacon. Maybe a little bannock. Maybe a camera crew. A swift canoe. A 12-episode deal with the Disney Channel. Yeah. Disney Channel. What the hell am I talking about? Stupidness. You're such a brat, man. The Canadian tan isn't a flight for butter. I have the most like bottom side of a fish kind of pale pallor. Oh, this sounds interesting. Russell says, actually, I was talking to my buddy Ray about the solar upgrades I want to do. We figured out I can still do it. Going to go from 2160 watt panels to 5100. That is going to be a noticeable difference. I like it. Man, I'm happy for you, man. That's cool. David, I'm glad to hear that the lowering prices are starting to hit retail now. Around here, it hasn't hit retail yet. Let me freaking tell you. But if it's hit retail where you are, that means it's going to start hitting retail everywhere, and that is good. I like it. Oh, okay. So you go every Thursday. Sorry, guys. But yeah, because I was supposed to build a deck attached to our pool this year, but I was like, ain't gonna happen. I'm not spending that much on wood. Young Homestead says, I used to burn 10 to 11 cords a year, and I always had 2 years worth of wood in the shed. For 20 years, too much work and mess. It's funny because Pine Martin, when he was on one of the times, he called me a romantic because all the things that make me want these things are not. It's not the things that make me like or desire certain elements in my life are kind of nebulous. It's not the chopping of the wood that makes me want a wood burning stove. It's the smell of a wood burning stove. It's the feel of that organic heat coming off the stove or out of a fireplace or whatever. It's the look of it. You know, all the other stuff is stuff I'm willing to put up with in order to get that. And I'm like that about a great many things. There's some part of me that feels a pull towards a more historical state of being, I guess. I watch Townsend's all the time because I would love to set up a kitchen like they've got on their set and do videos like that, maybe, historical cooking videos, or I would love to do a whole series on bushcraft cooking. Maybe not loaf of bread like Ray Mears, but maybe a loaf of bread. Make some bread, some bannock, to like chanterelle mushrooms with a heavy cream or something, because I love that kind of stuff. If I had a chunk of land where I could go and start a fire and not get chased off because I'm trespassing, I would start shooting some stuff like that because it's the kind of stuff I like to watch. I love historical cooking stuff. I love bushcraft cooking. I love anything where a fire is being used rather than just as a background element of the episode. But even then, I like having the fire as a background element, because to me, setting up a fire on a chunk of land, it's not only about heating or I'm going to be cooking. It's about it gives me a sense of place. And there's no logic to that. There's no logic to that, to what I just said at all, because it doesn't have to be, right? I'm standing on a piece of land. I'm setting up a tent, or maybe I'm finally using my freaking, the bag thing, hammock or something. I can set everything up, and I don't feel like I'm staying there until there's a fire burning. And there's like, okay, everything settles. And I'm perfectly willing to put up with chopping wood and cutting down trees and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same with like a wood burning stove. It's not that I don't feel like I'm in a home until I have a wood burning stove, because I don't have one. But in some ways, it scratches the same itch for me as that. It is the same reason why I prefer to make a fire with preferably flint and steel, but I will use a ferro rod as well and be perfectly happy. I don't want to squirt that gel crap onto a piece of wood and throw a lit newspaper at it. I like lighting the fire to have been a skillful and meaningful act. I just went way too far into that, guys. Sorry, that must have been dull. But I'm gonna try and catch up with where the chatting was. Outdoor Dauber. Hey, sorry. Oh, hey, Dauber. So it's more like 8.5 acres. Okay. Okay, so man, this is gonna happen, Russell. Nice. I like it. You beat me to it. Raspberry Rock, I think that 27 was probably my my record, I think. Absolutely. Oh, you got another one of those dragon-headed fire steels. Oh, yes. So, Colin, the reason why I said that I wasn't sure when the hell you live stream was because I was just going to tell people that you were going up tomorrow at 8. But isn't tomorrow like Wednesday? I have no idea what day it is. Thanksgiving was yesterday, right? Yesterday was Monday. What? Yes, today's Tuesday. So if you usually go up Thursdays, why are you going up tomorrow? Or are you also a little messed up on the scheduling? Let me just sort of try to catch up. I am so far behind. Sorry, guys. Yeah, David, man, you and I, we get along just fine. David agrees. He loves watching a fire burn. Like Russell has said many times, you need a glass door on your wood stove. I hadn't even thought of that, you know. Like to me, I would be happy with any wood stove because I would probably have to buy a secondhand wood stove. But yeah, I would love to watch through a glass front. I think wasn't Sean James's original wood stove in his cabin a glass fronted one? I don't know if the later one was or not. How many of you guys watch Wrangler Star? I'm kind of hit or miss with him now. If he's doing like AR-15s or dirt bikes or religion, I don't tend to watch. But if he's doing like homesteading stuff, then I'll cast my eye over the video. And because he recently-ish, like a couple of years ago, replaced his old wood-burning stove with, I think, a soapstone paneled stove. And he said that the beauty about the soapstone is that it takes a little longer for it to get up to heat, but that it radiates heat in a different way than his old sort of metal stove. And he says it's a much more agreeable heat. I don't remember. Is it a Vermont Castings or no? I think he replaced a Vermont Castings. I don't remember, but I do remember looking up the stove after I saw his episode, and they are really bloody pricey. But you know, when you got millions of subscribers, I guess you got the money. I'm just trying to catch up with everything here, guys. I'm sort of. Kat says that I should have an old stone homestead with a cast of people that are all very knowledgeable in their areas and earn their keep by doing what they know and by teaching. So you're saying I should be living on the set of Tales from the Green Valley, which I think was a BBC show, or maybe it was Channel 4, which I've mentioned many times on my live streams. So I won't bore you guys with it again, but just Tales from the Green Valley. Look it up on the Tube of Views. It's got to be there. In fact, I'm about to look it up on the Tube of Views. Just hang on now. Just hold on. I'll tell you. Tales from the Green Valley. Looking away from the screen, that's really pro, right? Is this it? Is this it? Students with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension. Go away. Yes. I shall now share a link. I shall now use the wrong key combination for Windows. Okay. I don't know if this is the first episode or not or anything, but I watch this over and over and over again, because they do essentially live in a stone homestead. It was a farm from I think the 1400s, that they ran, because it was a show that was on for one season on the BBC. It was like a documentary series. How big is that storage unit, Lipstick? What's in there? You got a lot of stuff to go through. $322 a month if not emptied out. Yikes! A few months, and I would have a canoe at that price. Yeah, I see where you're going, Kat. I see it. Yeah. But you're not talking about stuff I've never dreamed about. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree. I would love to. Okay. Young Homestead says, I like it in the beginning, but after 20 plus years of cutting, splitting, stacking, bringing it in the house, the firewood already heated me up 4 times before I even let it. And that is the magic of heating by wood, isn't it? Isn't it? You heat it heats you up when you take your axe to it. It heats you up when you're carrying it around. It heats you up again when you burn it. And it heats you up one last time when you're cleaning up. Crumbs, 3 more trips to empty it out. Lipstick, how big is that storage unit? Beer's done. We have hit 10 o'clock. So it's whiskey time. What I'm having tonight is Steve Mito says, cubic mini wood stove is what I want for my little cabin. It is not cheap. I don't even know what that is. Never even heard of it. Oof, that's a big freaking pour. I sort of lost control there. So this is the Finlagan, which is not an actual distillery. They're an independent bottler. Nobody really knows what's in. Well, they do, but they don't say what's in there. I think it's Kalila that was aged in a Lefroy cask, but I do not know. I'm not willing to go to the mats over that. It's got a nice peaty thing happening. Lefroy or Lagavulin? I think it's Lefroy. There's lemon, but there's also a lot of iodine in there, which is what tells me Lefroy. But it's got a beautiful, beautiful oily finish to it. There are no tears showing up there. It's 58%, so I'm not sticking my nose all the way in. The Grizzly Mini Wood Stove. Okay, so you guys are both talking about the same thing. Okay. Grizzly Mini Wood Stove. Simone, have you ever... Oh, hi, Simone, by the way. Have you ever heard of the Grizzly Mini Wood Stove? Hi, Rusal. I'm looking up the Grizzly Wood Stove.
I remember my first time trying iodine scotch. It was quite something.
Yeah.
It was quite something. And at first I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But after a while, after I got really drunk, it was like, oh, this is okay.
I don't like too much iodine. To me, it's too much like Band-Aids. And I really know what Band-Aids smell like right now.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your turkey injury. that turkey had one last shot to hand out.
He's like, F you, man. Take this.
You're going to eat me? Well, one final blast.
One final go at the... The only issue with it, really, is that I do have to type with both hands all day tomorrow. The Grizzly Mini Wood stuff. Okay. Oh, CatMax says that the YouTube link I posted won't let me copy or journey there. Really?
Let me try it.
Yeah.
Try it. No, it does work. Try right click and say open a new window. Unless you're on mobile, in which case.
Yeah, if you're on mobile, all bets are off, I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tales. I missed when you were talking about this. What is this?
It's a series I watch and rewatch and rewatch.
Oh, okay.
What they did was they took 5, I think, PhD history majors and dropped them into an intact farm from the 1400s in somewhere in England, and they had to spend a year living on using the farm the way it would have been used at the time in the 1400s, so they could have no technology. The one thing is that for safety, like health and safety reasons, they couldn't stay there overnight. They had to go home at night.
Oh,
but from like 5 in the morning until 10 at night, they lived on the farm as if there was no technology later than medieval English technology.
That's actually really interesting. I mean, they could have gone back to, say, Little House on the Prairie days, or even a couple hundred years ago, but they went back to the 1400s.
Interesting you say that, because what they did was that show was such a success that the BBC then later did another one that was, I think, Victorian Farmstead. No, not Victorian. There was another farm one. Then there was a Victorian Pharmacy. Like, they did a few others, sort of coming more and more recent in time. But this is the one I like the best. Absolutely.
I'm gonna check that out. Not right now, but
right. Lipstick Lodge says that this grizzly mini wood stove hangs on the wall rather than on the floor. Interesting. Outdoor Dauber says, "Wait, what's this injury all about?" You missed it. Well, I'll tell you about it afterwards. Let's just say that a turkey I was cooking made one last swipe at me.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at that.
I was so angry. I'm still kind of angry. Canadian says, some people have an allergic reaction to whiskey. It makes them break out in handcuffs. I like it. Lipstick says to Russell, "You're on. It's raining here, but I have instant internet here with hotspot." I don't even know what that means. What the hell's hotspot?
Hotspot is like cellular internet.
Oh, so it's like, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, one last swipe, right from the oven. One last hellish swipe.
That turkey's like, well, they're gonna cook me and eat me, but I'm gonna pee, like hot pee, all over this guy.
I'm gonna take one of them with me. One of them. Don't care which one, but they're coming with me. Damn it. Oh well.
Every turkey season, we got to do the. There's the WKRP in Cincinnati turkey episode.
Oh. Yes.
And then there's also the West Wing turkey episode, which is also awesome.
There's a West Wing turkey episode.
Oh, is that about, like, you haven't seen?
I have not seen the West Wing. Nope.
Okay, I'll bug you. You know what? I'll Facebook message you the clip, and don't watch it now, of course, but watch it
later. Okay. Haven't seen the West Wing. I have not seen The Simpsons. That's a lie. I've seen 2 episodes of The Simpsons. I've seen almost no Seinfeld. I've seen almost no Friends. I have almost no Friends. It's okay though. I haven't seen a lot of. I've seen one episode of whatever that Ice and Fire show is called. Game of Thrones. Like this, I miss out on a lot of TV.
Yeah, The West Wing is one of my favorite shows of all time.
I heard it's very good. How did they deal with losing? Because Kevin Spacey got kicked out, right?
No, that's a different show. Kevin Spacey was.
Oh, that was House of Cards.
House of Cards, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that one either. Actually, see, I haven't seen anything. I've seen every Star Wars movie.
Cheers.
There we go. All right. Just taking a sip. Enjoying the whiskey. Made me get quiet for a second there.
I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna turn on the disco ball.
You're in a good mood?
Yeah.
What the hell? How come you're in a good mood?
Because I'm drinking. That's a stupid question.
Yeah, I guess. Dumb question. I shouldn't have even asked it. Silly. Oh wait, okay, hold on. Canadian says, all right, 6 a.m. is coming up, and I got to work in the a.m. Nice chatting with you, Justin. Folks, if you get the property, I'll have you up here to have a fire and cook and chili and chill out. Yeah, I'll take you up on that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Praying for Jerry to get his property. You got this.
Yeah, you got it, man. Steve is out as well. Good night, mister. I was about to say something brilliant until everyone started leaving. What the hell was I going to say? I lost it.
I don't know, but it was brilliant.
It was going to be phenomenal.
What were we talking about?
I don't remember.
Was it a TV show? Was
Maybe?
it Turkey?
No, we were past that.
And it was awesome. Okay, well, it was awesome. Well,
it was.
Hold on, let me get a pen. I'll mark that down and Jeff said something awesome. Column. There we go. Put a 1 down on this paper towel.
Yeah. Speaking of awesome, I would like to say that after all these months of complaining, my band does finally have another gig coming up, November the 20th.
Oh yeah, I remember you said something about that.
Yeah. So that means I have to relearn how to play bass by November 20th. It's okay.
Don't your fingers like lose their toughness and then, right? If you don't play for
you
a
mean
while?
When I burn them? Yeah, you totally lose your you lose the calluses completely. I won't be practicing this week, that's for sure. Yeah. Yes, Grizzly mini wood stoves. It's funny because I tried to look that up, but this isn't a wall hanging stove. Like I'm seeing things.
Wall hanging stoves are good for like tiny houses, right?
Well, yeah. Who was I talking to about it? Was it Lipstick? Building a tiny house, and so a wall hanging wood stove is not a bad idea for.
Is it a wood stove? No. I thought they were like propane stoves or something like that.
I'm looking. CB 1210 Grizzly cubic mini wood stove, $700 US. I think US. Hold on. I will put a link. Oh, come on. I will hit the wrong key combo again because I'm in Windows. Christ almighty. It's like I'm all remedial about computers or something, but it's just because I'm not used to Windows. So I just dropped a link to what I see as the Grizzly cubic stove. Maybe this can be a wall hanger or a floor stander. You know? Oh, there's all kinds of little options. What a cute little stove.
All right, I'm taking a look.
Yeah. You gotta take a look. Yes, a wall hanging. Lipstick Lodge says yes, a wall hanging wood stove. This Grizzly is not a wall hanger. I don't think, but it might have options. It might have options. I definitely like this little stove. It looks really small, though.
They've got wall mounts on here.
Okay, so it is. Okay. Wow, it's 13 inches wide by 15 inches high by 12 inches deep. So I don't know what that means. Oh, 33 centimeters by about 40 by 30 and a half. Wow, that is a small stove. That's a really small little stove. I love it. I want to put one in my bedroom.
You should.
That was random. Yeah, because I want to be left. I can just imagine my wife. Why are you cutting a hole in the ceiling in the bedroom? What's going on? Nothing, honey. I got it. I got it. Oh no, what's going on? No, I got it. I got it. It's gonna be great.
I tell you what, one of the scariest things I've done here in my cabin is cut a hole in my roof for the chimney. Because
Yeah,
he's spent like half the day just measuring it and trying to line it up, going, "Is this right? I got this just right."
right.
But at some point, you actually get a cut, and it's oh man, it's scary.
Yeah, because you're afraid of like leakage and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, if you don't put it in just the right spot, kind of
Yeah,
screwed. But I mean, well, it's a metal roof, so metal roofs are worse than like if it was a shingle roof. It's not too hard to patch up a shingle roof, but
yeah. Metal roof can be a chore.
metal, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. What I would love to do in this house is I don't remember what they're called, but it's a kind of skylight that is just a tube. Like you get a bubble on the outside, and it tubes to like they're not huge. Yeah. It's a nice way to get some light in to a darker part of your upstairs, which we definitely have. But I'm with you. I fear cutting into the roof. You know, skylights, for instance, can bring all kinds of weird little leakage issues.
I ask, skylights are wonderful. I want to put a couple of skylights in the workshop that I want to build.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the windows, well, I'm only going to have 2 windows. It's going to be pretty dark in there. But my neighbor Dan he built a workshop, and he's got a couple of skylights in his, and it's wonderful. You walk in there any time of day, and you don't have to turn on the light. It's wonderful.
Love it. And I like natural light, you know? I love natural light. If I can have my space lit by natural light instead of a big honking lamp during the day, it's great. I love it.
Yeah,
love it. Yeah, I think they're Outdoor Dauber knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think they're called Sola tubes. Sola tubes. Sonotubes? No. Tubes? There's something like that. I don't think they're called solar. I don't know.
Well, I think it generically is called solar tubes, but you're talking about a specific product called Sola tube?
Yeah, I think so. I don't quite remember. It's been a long time, and I've had a beer and a scotch, so.
Or a light tube, or tube skylight, or
that kind of thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. It's a great idea.
Sonar tubes. And I see Cliff has taken us to a weird spot. Just, going by the word light. I don't even know what natty light is. Oh, wait. That's a beer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Natty light. So why did you get a metal roof? It seems like an expensive choice. Is it because it's easier for hanging solar to?
Are you kidding me? Metal roofs are so much better than shingle roofs.
I know they're better, but last time I checked re-roofing my house, it was a whole lot more expensive to do metal.
It is more expensive, but it's going to last 100 years, whereas your roof, depending on the shingles you picked, is going to last 8 to 10 years, maybe? You're going to do it all again? Spend the money once.
But what do I care about 100 years from now? I don't want my kids to even stay in this province. Right? I have no...
well, if you're planning to move in the next 5 years, then yeah, just do shingles.
No, I'm not planning to move, but I'm 50 years old next year. Right? So if I get 20 years out of a roof, if I even live that long, I still call that a win. Because I'm going to have to redo this roof pretty soon. But the difference in price between a straight up shingle roof and a metal roof for me is really big. So just in terms of how much longer I'm going to have this house, I have no idea who's going to own this house next. I don't think my daughter's going to care about this house.
Well, okay. So how long do you think you're going to own that house?
I don't know. I'll retire here, I hope, and grow old or as old as the universe lets me.
So you're
But
going to
I'm
be
not
around
going to
for
have
20
another
years.
50 years. Yeah, 20 years.
Well, you're going to be replacing your roof again within that 20 years. 20-year shingles do not last 20 years.
No, they don't. You're right.
30-year shingles don't last 20 years. It's a joke. I've been on hundreds of rooftops, selling solar power systems.
Yeah.
And I've seen the shingles they use these days are so much shit.
Yeah.
I got a special hatred in my heart for asphalt shingles.
I would love to be able to afford a Tesla roof.
What, solar?
Yeah. But I don't think it makes. I think it only makes sense on one side of my house, like one side of my roof, because of where the sun comes across. Like I have one side of the roof that's in sun because it passes this way, and then the other side that is never really in. I mean, it's in sun, but
Okay, so here's the thing. Like if your like house is running off of solar and you're charging batteries and stuff, yeah, definitely the south side is your bread and butter kind of thing. But if you're going net metering where you're selling the electricity, then it does make sense to put it on the north side. You're not gonna make as much money. But we went through this, in the solar power industry all the time. It always made sense to put panels on the north side of your roof because in the summertime you're getting sun on both sides of your roof anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Like for a huge portion of the day. Wintertime, who cared? Like wintertime was such a small percentage of your overall revenue
Fair.
that the winter months were like, December, January, February is like 5% of your entire revenue. It didn't,
Right. Right. SV Raven Flintlock says, as soon as I can find my cursor, I used to work for Dow in their old powerhouse solar plant. Powerhouse A solar plant. We made solar shingles that were flat to the roof, took the place of shingles. I didn't even know that Dow made such a thing.
Me neither. It makes so much sense. I don't know why we don't see it more.
Tim says no metal roofs here. It's either shingles or ceramic. Interesting. I wonder how long a ceramic roof lasts.
Well, that's a good question.
Like, does he mean those like Spanish style roofs?
I think they're the curved ones.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder how long they last.
Tim's in California, I believe.
Well, he's definitely somewhere warmer than us. Because I would be afraid of like moisture getting up there, turning into ice, and like starting to separate those tiles, those ceramic tiles. If it is those, semicircular ones. You think I'm overthinking it?
Nope. It's a valid point.
It's frustrating to think about this stuff because it's a lot of money I don't have right now. I spend a lot of my time dreaming.
Daydreaming is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Cat Max says, Mom and Dad had a metal roof that fed the water storage, which was also fed by well water. I lost all my hair there when I stayed 3 months. Stress or neighbors contaminating water or something else. The danger of having gray water, I guess. Actually, I guess that's right. I mean, a metal roof, you could really easily do some water catchment off of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Cat Max says that ceramic tiles are big there in Arizona. Yeah, I could see that. Because what worries me, if they are what I'm thinking, then there's a reason why there are none of them around where I live.
I don't know anything about them. I don't know why they're used so much. Oh, they last longer than shingles.
Yeah. I'm trying to look them up, and I think it is what we think it is. So weird. I'm looking it up right now. I'll let you know what I find. Yeah, it's what we're thinking about. Oh, wow. There's all kinds of weird ceramic and clay roof tile. But yeah, it's based on exactly what we thought. But it's not all. It's not all it is. Wow, a lot of people here know about these ceramic roofs.
I've seen roofs like that here in Canada, but I don't know that they're ceramic. They might be some special composite instead of ceramic. Anyway, hey, look, I'm having a.
Hey, I had one of those
beer
recently. Yeah, Waterloo Dark. I liked that.
And you know what? We can't get Newcastle Brown Ale. I've checked for months now. There's been no Newcastle Brown Ale. I'm very disappointed. If anybody here works for the LCBO and senior management, let me know because I got grief.
That makes no sense though, because it's not a rare beer. It's very commonly accessible.
Yeah, right.
That's bizarre. How bizarre! How bizarre!
How bizarre!
So, note to self: try to figure out a way to put a metal roof on this house next time, just in time to cover it with solar panels. Yes.
What did you price? You have to get your roof done, right? Did you price it out yet?
No, I'm ignoring it until the problem becomes severe.
Oh, okay. No, that's fair. That's fair.
we have no money. It's like, no, we've got a few more years left on this roof. I think we might have another 3 or 4 years. We also have like a wicked crack in our foundation that creates a small river when it rains, and we have to have that looked at probably first. Home ownership kind of sucks in this way. Like, there's always something expensive that needs to be done. It's like owning a sailboat, you know. No matter how old your sailboat is, it's going to cost you $1,000 a year and some kind of upkeep.
At least,
you know. And houses are a whole lot more.
Oh yeah, $1,000 a year. I say that about cars. Like a not very old car is going to cost you a car. Let's say a car just out of warranty will cost you $1,000 a year. Sailboat?
Yeah.
Well, I guess depending on how often you use it.
Well, the one I used to crew on was from the 70s, right? So very, very overbuilt because they didn't have computers to tell them exactly what kind of tolerances they needed, so they over-engineered everything. So very solid. But when you've got a boat from the 70s, you do all the work yourself. You don't hire someone to redeck it or something. You know, you buy the wood and you do it yourself. And that saves you a lot of money. Absolutely saves a lot of money. In fact,
a lot of teak on those old boats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In fact, on the boat I used to crew on, almost all the teak has been replaced by Ipe, which is like poor man's teak. It's still expensive, but not like teak is. But it ages the same, and it's the same in that it's dense enough that if you drop it in the water, it sinks. But it is really nice for decks and furniture and stuff. But yeah, I like that. I like that look. I like that feeling. The old, the teak. There's not a lot of teak on boats anymore. Even like a $1 million boat doesn't have a lot of teak on it. It's all like composites and stuff now. I think they lost something there.
It's all fiberglass now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But teak is a lot of maintenance too. It's I don't know. That's there was a time when I wanted to retire. Well, when City Girl and I wanted to retire in a sailboat until I started learning about all the maintenance involved. It's like an never-ending, endless. It's the same thing. Stream of maintenance.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm too lazy for that shit.
Yeah. Retiring onto a sailboat is retiring into a very active life. Very active lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like even just sailing on a sailboat is way more active than like plonking your fat butt in the back of a motorboat and steering, right? Like you gotta understand the wind, you gotta understand the waves, you gotta know what you're doing. Um, you gotta sort of keep an eye on the top of the mast and keep the arrow between the two um, fin things and everything. I really like sailboats because I love the idea of your propulsion being the wind rather than diesel. In fact, actually,
Absolutely.
on the boat that I was crewing on, he pulled out the diesel engine and replaced it with he sourced an electric sailboat engine and put in a bunch of batteries. Um, it's so much quieter. It's so much quieter. Like holy shit level quieter. Oop. Holy shift level quieter.
I already said shit earlier.
What are you doing to my channel, man? Trying to get me demonetized? Dehomogenized? Tabernacle.
Yes, all of
Yes.
those things.
Yes. Just taking a look at the side chat, making sure that we're not. Cat Mac never wanted a house. Her guy made them buy, and he wasn't working. Now I'm not working, but he is working. All right, so at least somebody's working. You don't want to lose the house.
He made you guys buy a house, and he wasn't working.
Yeah. Yeah. Raven says, boat equals bring out another 1,000. It really does. It absolutely does.
Did you mean $1,000 a month for a boat? I think I heard it's like something like 10% of the cost of the boat you'll spend in maintenance every year, or something like that. It's a ridiculously high number.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
No,
Like,
that can't
but
be.
that's if you don't want to do all the work yourself, right? Because I mean, if you're working in labor costs, it gets astronomical really fast.
Yeah.
David says, check out Sailing Uma, 100% electric sailboat. Yes, I have checked that out before. I don't watch a lot of sailing stuff anymore because it's a dream that I know I'm not going to live. So I kind of out of mind. Tim says, I know someone who has retired on his sailboat. It's docked at a local harbor here. He said the rocking helps with sleep, but it sucks to cook on it. I don't understand sailboats that don't have their stoves on gimbals. Like, a lot of them do, but some of them don't. And it's like, that should be a standard. Right?
Because if not a standard?
Really? Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you?
So there are sailboats with stoves that aren't on gimbals. That makes no sense at all.
None at all. At all. Because say you're moving along at a good clip on a 45-degree angle, don't cook.
You can't cook if you're not. Well, if you're on a 45-degree angle, you shouldn't cook anyway, even if your stove is on a gimbal.
Absolutely not.
I was watching. I don't watch a lot of channels either, but I was watching this girl. I can't remember the name of the channel. Anyway, she was trying to cook, and their boat was way tilted over, but going back and forth, of course. And she's trying to make food, and suddenly they hit a wave, and everything on the table went flying off and landed on the floor. And she's like, ugh.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And she wasn't even cooking. I think she was making like salads.
Right.
It just went whoosh.
Yeah. And that's okay. Simo's out.
Get it, Simon.
Yeah, he just had a 15-hour day. So cool. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about sailing that are great, and a lot of things about sailing that are not. I have not done blue water sailing though. Right, I've only ever done laker sailing. I have friends who have done a lot of blue water sailing. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just a little more epic because deeper water, bigger waves, kind of thing.
I told you this before. We did a sailing thing in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I loved it. I loved every second of it. But we also had a guy on board who was teaching us how to sail at the time, and he did a lot of the work. But
Okay.
I love being on the swells and looking at the open ocean, and that was wonderful, wonderful
Yeah,
feeling.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Loved it. Well, I haven't actually been on the ocean in a sailboat. I haven't been on the ocean in a long ass time, actually. I should fix that. There's something really nice about looking at a window and seeing nothing but like blue and then a different blue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gotta fix that. Most definitely. How the hell do we still have 22 people watching this? You guys
I
are
don't
like
know.
heroes. 23 all of a sudden. Just let me
Cheers.
check how
Cheers
many
to
of them.
everyone still watching.
Yeah. I just want to see how many of them click the thumbs up or down. Oh, it's actually, we're doing all right. We're good. We're doing sweet.
This is just Tuesday nights are my only thing now. I can't do my own live streams because of my internet.
So that is depressing. That is depressing. Elon, our buddy Elon has to set you up fast because that's just depressing.
I know, right?
I mean, what the hell happened to your signal?
Well, I don't know. The same thing happened last year. During the fall, I couldn't live stream at all. Network was terrible, and then suddenly January 6th, everything changed, and my connection to the tower was amazing, and I live streamed for months: January, February, March, April, May. It's just perfect live streams every single time, and then suddenly it went to shit again.
So,
I'm like,
what if they're throttling because it's the end of maybe their fiscal year ends? Like maybe they don't have the fiscal year that's in April, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're throttling to save some money at the end of the season or something.
Last fall when I was having all these problems, I kind of have a knack for when I'm really upset about something, I will find email addresses for the senior executive at any company that I'm mad at. So nice. I emailed ExploreNet's senior management team, the whole team.
Okay. And
I got plugged into their guy in charge of VIP customers. And that guy was great.
Come on, you're a big deal, man.
I know, right? That guy was great because he knew his stuff, and he explained a whole bunch of things to me, like how everything works. But he could connect to the tower. He could sit there and watch my communication in real time. It was wonderful. But I couldn't figure out what the problem was.
Huh.
Couldn't figure out why it went bad. Couldn't figure out why it went good.
I want to say hi to Patrick, by the way. He says, "Sup."
Hello, Patrick.
I say, hi, Patrick. To SV Raven Flintlock, I was pretty sure that SV stood for sailing vessel. It's the only thing I could see SV standing for. Yeah.
Yeah, here we were talking about sailboats, and the person...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim says, I sailed once on a sailboat on the Pacific, scared the heck out of me, never did it again.
You know what I want to do? Jess, you know what I want to do? We should do it together when one of us wins a lottery and you don't have to work anymore. But you know what would be awesome is just to get on a crew for a sailboat that's been shipped somewhere. Say like this happens all the time, right? Somebody buys a boat in the UK and they want it on Florida, right?
Yeah.
I'll go and crew that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be nice. And it's funny because I don't know someone, but I like 2 degrees of separation know someone who has done that a lot. What a great way to spend your life, right? Kat says, I attended...
We don't have to spend our lives doing it, but we could do it like once.
Yeah, once or twice. Cat Max says, I attended a wedding in Seattle by myself and had time to spend a last-minute sailing trip in at sunset on a retired sailing boat. 2 20-year-olds made the epic thing. The kid's so skilled. Where did Russell go? I think he went to see a man about a hearse. David loves sailing. He sailed and raced in university. Nice. Father-in-law with a sailboat. Also nice. Oh, he's a retired racer. Nice. Very cool. Yeah. Sometimes those those racing boats, kind of missing a little bit of the comfort value, but always such a beautiful thing, a sailboat. Just like the lines, the way the way they go. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Just stunning. Wow, we're at like 20 minutes to 11. We'll be shutting her down pretty soon. Yeah, sorry I was late tonight, guys. For those of you who were there at the beginning, I think I mentioned that there was a meeting at my daughter's school, at a governing board meeting over Zoom. It was our first meeting of the year. They sometimes go a little late. Sometimes. Chris says, not on the same level. I used to fly down to Florida a couple of times a year in the spring, stay a few days, and drive a snowbird's car back to Toronto for them. Really? How long a drive is that? David says, I race in cruising boats with handicaps. Yeah, same here. Absolutely same here.
The drive from Florida to Toronto is like 22 to 24 hours, depending on how fast you drive.
Right.
Maybe 20 hours if you don't care about speed limits. But...
Now, if you're somebody who listens to Hardcore History podcast, that's like 2 episodes. 3 days, David Evans says. I guess that's if you're stopping to sleep. Ever tell you like how I discovered the Hardcore History podcast?
Maybe.
Was
I drinking at the time? Because
of course. Yeah, of course.
Then I don't remember.
All right. Well, for those of y'all who haven't heard this story, I don't know if you guys are into podcasts, but I'm very into podcasts. I used to play like audiobooks while I was driving long distances, but man, podcasts are where it's at for me. And my band was doing a very mini tour of. See, this story is so boring. I'm putting myself to sleep. We were doing a very, very small tour, based, like we expanded from like a wedding gig we were doing in Prince Edward Island, doing some gigs in New Brunswick. So our fiddler is meeting us there because he lives in Calgary. Okay, he lives 4,400 kilometers west of me, and we were playing in Eastern Canada. So he's like, "I'll just fly out there and meet you guys there." Works for me. So my guitarist / lead singer and I are driving to New Brunswick, and then we're going to drive through New Brunswick and hit Prince Edward Island. And I was like, "This is a long drive, right?" And he's like, "It's okay. We got Hardcore History." What? And he started playing it, and I was just like, the time didn't matter anymore. Because this guy, he's not a historian per se. He's a journalist who's into history. And there's a way that people who are really into history talk about history that is so engaging and so full of love for the subject that you can't help but be, sort of swept along for the ride,
Yeah.
And like after that drive, I immediately, like next time I had signal, subscribe to that podcast, and like every 8 months when he finally puts out an episode, I'm like, woo, there's a new one. There's 6 hours of my life accounted for. So good.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in, because I hate driving these days, anything to pass the time. So podcasts, audiobooks for me does it.
Yeah.
Grace says, Drunk history is very entertaining.
Yeah, that is true. Chris says, whoa, that's my jam. So glad you mentioned it. Going to find that podcast now, hopefully on Spotify. The beautiful thing about podcasts is you can listen to podcasts anyway, like any way you want. I don't use the Apple Podcast app on this phone. I use an app called something. What the hell is it called? What's this app called?
Turn it on and look at it.
Yeah, I am. Where's the name of the freaking app? This is ridiculous. I'm looking at the screen and where's the name of the app, y'all? Hold on.
Doesn't we need tech
The hell is
support?
this? Dear tech support, what the hell? What's it called? I'm just scrolling.
Doesn't it say the name of the app underneath the app?
In some contexts, yes.
I mean, all my apps have names underneath them.
Okay, hold on. Yes, hold on. Tabernacle. What did I put it into? Entertainment? Do I have an entertainment? No. This is ridiculous.
Chris found the history app. Or sorry, the history show.
Good. Let me just get that off. It is. I use an app called Overcast. This is Overcast is what it's called for podcasts. But there's Stitcher. There's the Apple Podcasts app. There's all kinds of them out there. I'm saying this because Cat Mac asked, "How do you get podcasts?" Yes, Dan Carlin, exactly. But yeah, and as Russell says, you need an app. Absolutely. Something that Cat Max says here. That's what I mean. Your people invited to your house. I imagine you would acquire good friends with skills to live with you. I miss having people over to do my live streams. I haven't done it very often, but a few times I've had like Serge and Simon or like LT Survival over sitting here, and the energy in when you're doing that is different. I think, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that next.
We'll never have life will never go back to normal. It's this new normal.
New normal, absolutely.
I don't like it. That's funny. I live in the bush. I go to town once a week, and yet I hate this new normal. You know what I hate? I hate the simple things too, like that. When I'm interacting with somebody at the grocery store, I smile. They can't see me smile. I love smiling at people and just to let them know.
You know what I hate? And I'm not saying this as someone who's anti-mask, because I'm not, because I have 2 unvaccinated kids. I hate the fact that because I've become hard of hearing after almost 20 years of playing bass in a band, I depend on seeing somebody's lips read to know what the fuck they're talking about.
I do too.
Right?
I'm not just hard of hearing. I have some kind of learning disability. I can't understand people a lot of the time. I'm looking at their lips to figure out what they're saying.
Yeah. Someone's like, "Have a nice day," and I'm like, "Yes, I will take the chocolate one, please." Oh, that's not. Sorry.
Good night, Charles.
Good night, Charles. Hold on. SV Raven Rock says, hold on. Yeah, SV Raven Rock says, I always used to listen to this guy on Friday nights during my drive from work to my weekend place. I think it was Blueberry Rock or something like that.
Pray for Starlink.
Well, I mean, what's the status now? Like, are you getting it?
Okay, so right now it's still called beta, Starlink beta, but Starlink beta ends the end of this month, and so it's no longer in beta. But when I log into my Starlink account on Starlink.com, it still says mid to late 2021.
See, here's the thing. Here's the reason why I'm kind of. If you look at Elon Musk's biggest company, I don't mean biggest in any way except for most famous, most sales. They haven't been on time for anything. Everything they have ever promised has come out late. And so I just view everything he does as, oh, it's going to be late by like a half a year. But like, I don't know, has Starlink been hitting, like, have they had like, what do you call them? Mile mark? You know what I'm talking about? Have they
Yes
had
and no. I mean,
been hitting? Or
I mean, the big thing with them right now is getting satellites into space, and they've put
Right.
up a lot of satellites. They put up for a while there. They were doing 120 satellites a month, which is fantastic. And I think that's it. It's just more satellites into space is what we need.
Okay.
So,
right. Interesting. And hope to hell that they're not like going rogue and just putting satellites up there without like paying attention to what, you know what I'm saying? Like there are like satellites up there and there are routes and stuff, and Elon Musk is not famous for paying attention to the regs. So
no. He has to. He's got to get approval from several agencies to put these things up, and they put them into planes.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody in a plane going around, and then there's another plane, and then another plane, and so there is some thought to where they're going.
Like, I wonder if there will ever be a case for someone like me using that instead of what I'm using. Because, I'm on cable, right? So there's no reason,
You're in the city. You've got decent internet. You're not paying a whole lot. I hope you're not paying a whole lot of money. Are you?
Yeah, it's $100 a month.
That's a lot of money. Jesus, you need to shop around. You're on cable and you're paying $100 a month.
Yeah. Well, I have unlimited at. I can't remember what my stats are. And
oh my god, you need to shop around. Like if you're on like Bell, Rogers,
nope,
Shaw. Nope. There are companies like Tech Savvy and.
No, I'm with Tech Savvy. No, I'm with Electronic Box. No, I'm with Tech Savvy. I'm definitely with Tech Savvy.
You should not be paying $100 a month.
Well,
like we have Tech Savvy at our place in the city, and it's like 50 something a month.
Nice. What speed are you at though?
In the city?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's like 50 down and something up. I forget.
I think I'm paying for 90 down and something up. Where was I? I wanted to say something. Okay, SV Raven Rock. Listen to Les Stroud's podcast Friday through. What is that podcast called? Because I want to look it up. I would listen to that. Steve of the Western Seas. By the way, hi, Steve. Everyone say hi, Steve. Oh, God, I hope I'm not really late on this.
Hi, Steve.
Catch up. Yeah, I listen to the History of English podcast. I've been a History of English geek for a long time. Back in CEGEP and university, I took like an old English survey course. I took a Middle English survey course. Yeah, so damn straight I listened to that podcast. I also listened to Tides of History. It used to be called The Fall of the Roman Empire, but he kind of ran out of fall, so he extended it into I kind of agree with you, Cliff. We need less satellites in space. We do kind of. What we need is, and the Russians have gone into this, right? The fact is that there are live satellites up there, fine, but there's a lot of dead stuff up there as well, and that is so it's very polluted up there, and the Russians have been looking at finding ways to clean it up through like huge scoops and stuff, because the fact is putting a satellite into orbit is kind of dangerous at this point. There's so much stuff that's not in recognizable lanes that,
As I understand it, NASA is tracking like something like 10,000 objects in orbit that are a centimeter or larger.
Yeah.
Something like that. And you can actually go to a website, their website, where you can see these things going around. And you can like poke on one with your mouse, and it'll show you: is it a satellite, or is it just an object in space, or is it a I don't know what the hell this is kind of thing. But
absolutely.
what's the term for? There's a term for something where there's. In fact, this was it happened in the movie with Sandra Bullock. Right, she was in space, and there was
and
two
the
things
space shuttle got
collided.
shredded. But yeah, what the hell was that film called? There were a lot of problems with that film, by the way. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but there were some issues.
But there's a term for there's a term for so many things in orbit around the Earth that you can't really put up anything new because they'll get destroyed right away because there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
And until all the stuff, the orbits of all the stuff degrades and they all kind of gravity, degrades, and you can't do anything. So there are groups worried about what Elon Musk is doing, because there's something like 1,600 satellites in orbit right now for Starlink, but they want like 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, something like that. That's their plan for that over the next 5-10 years. And there's a couple other companies that want to do it too.
Yeah, and the fact is, if you've got like a weather satellite or a whatever spy satellite or something, and there's always satellites getting between your satellite and the Earth, then it's causing you issues.
But here's the weird thing though. Like you look at where the satellites are right now. I'm going to send you a link, Jess, to a cool site, Starlink.sx, which tracks all the Starlink satellites in real time, which is actually really cool. And you'll see that like satellites in certain planes are at certain heights, like might be 551 kilometers up. And then there's other satellites that are 552 kilometers up, and other satellites are 553 kilometers up. And a kilometer is a huge distance, right?
Yeah. Well,
so you could keep kind of chunking off those distances, but I don't know. Like their orbits decay and then they come back down.
Steve of the Western Seas is asking how my exercise is going. I'm back into it. I just spent 2 weeks at home with a sick kid, so I couldn't do any of my like biking or running or anything. But so I got back into it. I spent all drinking. Beer. I'm drinking less beer. I spent 40 minutes on my exercise bike at lunchtime today.
That's good.
Working on it. Oh, it's just called the Les Stroud Podcast. Okay, I'll look it up.
Les Strauss.
Les Strauss. He's surviving. He's composing symphonies. David says that Starlink satellites are in a low orbit compared to other satellites. Cat Max says she had a dream where Coca-Cola had an advertisement on the moon where we could see on Earth. She said, like that's not gonna, that's not possible at some point, right?
They did it in what was the movie where Will Smith was a superhero?
What was that called? That's the one where he like saved a bunch of people and said, like he pulled a car out from a train and said, "You people, you're all stupid." Right?
Yeah, there was a car stuck in front of a train, and so he stands there with his train's like crashing and cars derailing all over the place. And like saved a life.
Yeah.
No, they also did it in the original
Tick. Movie. The Tick, yeah.
You enjoyed it?
Destroy the Earth. That's where I keep all my stuff. The Tick?
Spoon! Yep.
This is where the conversation goes off the rails, right?
At 2 minutes to 11?
2 minutes to 11. Everything goes off the rails, and I'm like, okay, shut it down. Bye. Chris Garland is asking, I wonder if we'll get to a point where governments use orbit elevation like radio station frequencies. This elevation for communication, this one for travel, another. That's an interesting question. And followed it up by Cliff knowing exactly which film we were talking about. He says Hancock.
Good job, Cliff.
Yeah, we're on you.
Yeah, orbit elevation makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
The part of the problem with orbit elevation is that the orbits eventually degrade. So I don't know how the degradation works. Is it all going to be exactly the same everywhere? Because then you could plan it. You could say, well, everything at 550 kilometers is going to drop down at this rate of speed over this rate of time.
But
Maybe?
do
I
they?
don't know.
They can't correct for that? Because that means that by
Um,
definition, every satellite you put up there is temporary.
hmm,
I mean, even if it takes years and
yeah,
years and years, you know.
yes, yes. Every satellite is in a temporary orbit, but there's boosted and unboosted. The unboosted ones degrade faster. The boosted ones degrade less fast, slower.
Less
So
faster.
beyond that,
Right.
I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
But
Interesting
yeah, I
stuff.
guess.
I mean,
But if things in orbit at the same distance above the Earth degrade in the same way, I guess you could plan it.
oh, and if you could plan for it, then you've got like you can forecast out to like maybe two more generations of your satellite. You know,
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
it's fascinating.
Yeah, and it's weird that a guy like Elon Musk is doing stuff in space. You know, like at one point
Elon
he
Musk,
made.
Elon Musk to me is like a guy who says, "Oh shit, what if we did this?"
And
And
then,
everybody's like, "Yeah, let's do that."
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Like what? He makes electric cars. He makes spaceships. He makes tunnels. He makes flamethrowers. I mean, what can this guy not do? Well, aside from name his child, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And I kind of feel that, like, you know, there's Cat Mac is, you know, ho ho, Coke advertisement on the moon. It's what you don't think that at some point someone's going to try to do something like that?
Sure.
Advertisers and filmmakers will destroy anything in their efforts to make more money. Who here has seen Niagara Falls at night? Right when they start to go colors, and Niagara Falls, Ontario, that town is like, it's horrible to behold. It's nothing but IHOPs and neon.
Well, it's a tourist trap, right?
Yeah, because at some point somebody saw the utter majesty of the Falls and thought, how can I extract money from this? Because no matter what, somewhere some asshole is always, his approach to every beautiful thing is, how can I extract money from this?
That's
And
well,
and that's why I'm thinking that Cat Mac isn't really wrong by saying maybe there will be a huge advertisement on the moon at some point.
you don't want to get political here, right? But
No,
it's all
I don't. But
it's all capitalism, of course.
of course, so that's all we'll say about it. But yeah, I think we understand each other here.
You can probably get rid of this message here.
Oh yeah, well, it's because I was still sort of riffing on it, and then I went on to Cat Max, but I was still sort of. But yeah.
You are waxing.
Oh, actually, Raven saw it in the early 70s. I wonder if it was as bad back then. Like, I'm willing to bet you that maybe in the early 70s, the lights on the falls at night didn't change colors.
Was the wax museum there in the early 70s?
Come on, wasn't the 70s like peak wax museum years? Camex has something interesting.
I know. When I go to Niagara Falls, I go to see the falls. I don't do the whole tourist thing. I don't even know it's there.
When we were at Niagara Falls,
You okay?
it went down the wrong pipe, and it's really killing me right now. But I thought maybe I could just talk through it and nobody would notice.
Scotch at 52% or whatever it is, going down the road.
58%.
58%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it hurts like hell.
Fire.
It's like I just had a jalapeno. It's like I just had a jalapeno go down the wrong. Woo! Okay. Cat Max says the falls are like Las Vegas, somewhere I don't want to go. I tell you what, I've been to Las Vegas, and that entire city could disappear tomorrow, and I would not have a problem with it. But Las Vegas is surrounded by some of the most gorgeous stuff I have ever seen, like Red Rock Canyon. I haven't been to the Valley of Fire yet, but I will go back just to see that. You know, we drove up to the Hoover Dam, which was spectacular. Grand Canyon was amazing. I did a series of videos, obviously, because of course I did. It's put it up as a playlist of I don't remember what I called it, but spectacular stuff. But Las Vegas itself, what a heap of steaming garbage. That place is like a slow burning dumpster fire in the middle of the desert. And I sort of see Niagara Falls as a lower octane version of that. Like that city has completely given up. It's totally gone over into the tourist trade. There's nothing there that's not tourist oriented in some way, which means a lot of neon, a lot of like there's a roue, Ferris wheel. There's like oh, and it affects the falls. You know,
Let's not forget that if I go to Niagara Falls, I'm going to see the falls, and it is breathtaking. It is wonderful to view.
Absolutely,
It's
yes.
the pounding of the water and watching this thing and all the water going over the edge. It's like it's amazing.
Yes,
I don't care about the rest of it, but that is amazing.
I absolutely agree. It is. It's
To
really.
who
Hey
said
Russell,
that they'd never want to go to Niagara Falls?
look at this. Look who just showed up at 5 minutes after
Bettina.
closing. She's doing it on purpose, man. She wants to hurt me.
I don't know what other live is going on tonight that's as interesting as this.
I don't know. I don't think there is another one that's as interesting as this. We're talking about, you know, the falls.
Exciting stuff. I mean,
yeah.
she's probably watching a channel live streaming somebody's baking turtles sort of thing.
Baking turtles. Okay, we don't bake turtles. We Where did you get that?
Yeah, because in the depths of here.
Yeah, turtle pie. What? David says, I've been to Las Vegas once and I would go back one more time. What I want to see is the Valley of Fire. Like, I want to do another trip just so I can see the other things out around Vegas that I didn't see last time. Because, I mean, we were there so that my wife could run a half marathon, right? We were there with a very specific purpose. And then once that purpose was done, we had like 2 days to go and see some stuff. So we couldn't see everything we wanted to see.
I would love to go to Vegas just for the spectacle of it all.
But the spectacle is only interesting for like 20 minutes, a half hour. And then it's just, you sort of become inured to it because it's so like there's just so much of it.
Yeah, I like playing Texas Hold'em as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Bettina's been on that Ferris wheel. It does give you a beautiful view. The falls are beautiful, but I agree the commercialism of the strip is gross. Yep. David is wondering if he should open one more beer. How's your beer looking, Russell?
I'm about to go for 2 more because these 2 are just about empty.
All right, right now it's 23:07, so let's go until like 23:15, which means probably 23:30, and then we'll shut her down no matter what. So yeah, David, open another crack one.
We'll talk when we get there.
Yeah. Wait, Cat Mark says, yes, baking turtles. My best friend is a turtle, and they are not good eating. I'm just suddenly remembering a conversation that we had about turtles with, yeah. Oh, Bettina mods on the other channel. She was watching her friend's homesteading channel's regular live. I also mod on that. So if I made Bettina a mod, she would show up earlier.
No, she would still.
Bettina, you're hurting me. Yeah.
She's fickle.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
just stay till midnight.
That's fine.
My kids will be up so early.
But mine won't. Or maybe they will. I don't know. I don't know where they are.
So
It won't be
tired.
long till your kids are old enough to go to bed by themselves, take showers, get up early in the morning, get ready for
Yeah.
school. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, it will be. And
Or
I
you can
will be
sell them,
so old.
sell your kids and come here, Des.
Yeah, all right, it's done. All right, boom. I'm sold on my kids, so I like my kids. I'm not all the time. I mean, because sometimes they can be like my-sized assholes. But I mean, I'm pretty sold on my kids. I'm not sold on having kids of that age at this point in my life, but the kids themselves, I'm really sold on.
Yeah.
You know. I'm just adjusting my seating position here.
You're a bit old for young kids.
I am way too old to have a 2.5-year-old. Or she's not. She's more than that now, but she's still not 3. I'm way too old for an under 3-year-old.
Wow, that is. My buddy Ray got married late and had kids late, and I make fun of him because like you're older than me, but you got kids younger than mine, way younger than mine.
Yeah, it's a sucktacular way to do it. Absolutely.
And I make fun of him, but you're way worse. You're in the gutter.
Tell me how you really feel, Russell. Don't hold back or anything.
Sorry, Brew. David says, "I'm so glad we had our kids young, and we're the same way. Like I kept in touch with a lot of my high school friends for a long time, and they all got married and had kids later than us.
Yeah.
So our kids were always older, and and I love all their kids. All their kids were awesome, but I was just so happy that
yeah,
we didn't have to look after our kids the same way.
Yeah, Bettina, I'm 49. I'll be 50 in May 21st. If anyone wants to gift me a canoe, just a young little guy.
What? Cat says, rest you in the gutter for wanting to go to Las Vegas. I just want to see the spectacle of it all, and I want to play some Texas Hold'em in Vegas.
We spent one night. We allowed, because I had no interest, but my wife allowed her one night to gamble a little bit. She had 100. She like budgeted herself $100. Win or die. She's not taking out more money. And
we're the same way. It's just like I'm gonna blow this much money tonight.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm gonna spend it all. It's gonna be entertainment. That's it. Yeah.
And while we were sitting at that table, there was a guy there who was just going through he went through like $3,000. Like this guy had obviously done he does the gambling circuit, and he was just like throwing money down and losing money, munching on a bag of chips, and just didn't even he lost enough. He lost the amount I need to spend on the Swift canoe I want in 30 minutes and didn't even seem to stress about it. It's like, is this what it looks like when you're sitting next to someone with a gambling problem? Because he was talking big. He's been doing this a lot. He's experienced. Boom, lost another $100. I was just sitting there thinking, I'm on a film set. I have to be on a film set. This cannot be actually real. This has to be scripted. I mean, but I think that way because to me, being addicted to gambling is a foreign concept, But Las Vegas is a city that thrives on that needs people who are that into gambling in order to survive. I think about that guy sometimes, and his girlfriend or wife or whatever was there, and she was the same. They were going through a shift ton of money that night. And you can have a really good job with really good pay and end up in the poorhouse with something like that going on in your life. Yeah, so I think about that guy sometimes and his wife. Bettina had her first child at 20, second at 32, and third at 35. Wow, that's a big difference between your first and second. We weren't planning it to be this long between our first 2 kids, but life got in the way. Cliff says, nothing on this planet could force me to have offspring. The bloodline ends with my death. I spent most of my life feeling the same way, Cliff. Most.
Yeah, that guy you were talking about, and his wife, they're not big gamblers. They're just in Vegas having fun. They're just rich.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was
people with gambling problems. People with gambling problems and people who gamble a lot are professional gamblers. They don't drink a lot. They don't spend money frivolously. They're sitting there. They're trying to win.
So you think they just budgeted them to? I'm gonna start that whole sentence again. All right. So you think they just budgeted themselves like, okay, this weekend, 10 grand, win or lose?
Yeah, they're just rich. They're just like, yeah, here's 10 grand. You know, whatever.
They definitely they dressed rich. That's for sure.
What was it? Let me tell you the story. I was in a casino in Calgary, playing blackjack, and sitting at a table playing one hand of blackjack, and another guy comes up. He plays 5 hands of blackjack, and the guy had money. He was spending money like crazy. And there was one of the employees of the casino came around. And he's like, "Hello, do you have a Honda Accord parked in the parking lot?" And I'm like, "No." He says to this other guy, "Hey, do you have a Honda Accord parked in the parking lot?" The guy looks at him and is like, "I drive a fucking Porsche." The guy's like, "Okay."
Whoops.
Some people just got money to burn.
And are assholes about it. Now, here's the thing. I'm not sure if... Is Ian the Wublord serious about this? Got married in Vegas, $50 included the limo, $400 each for the flight and hotel for 4 days.
50 included the limo. Wow.
That seems crazy. Yeah.
That does seem crazy. 400 each for the flight and hotel for 4 days. In what decade was that, Ian?
Obviously not this one, because when we flew to Vegas, it was a lot more than that. Bettina says, my cousin put her career first and then couldn't have kids, so went through IVF. She had her first at 40 and then her second at 40. Twins. Oh, God, at 45. No.
Yep.
Off-track beating is the really scary stuff. I don't know what that... Betting, okay. Cat Max says, I caused a taxi driver to crash. It was that hot, but that same trip I was given $100 by guys to gamble while they were in meetings. I was having fun and attracted a boy that was being abused. Sounds like you've had an existence, haven't you? Have you not? Quite the existence. I've had a bit of an existence myself, but I sure as hell ain't gonna talk about it on the interwebs.
How about the fingers?
Well, I guess we don't say ayoy in English, do we? What is that? Ouch? Ow? You know, ayoy.
You're asking for... Is that a French word?
Yeah. It's like, you know, when you hurt yourself, ayoy, tabarnak.
Ow.
Ayoy, Chris.
Say ow.
Ow.
Fuck. Or whatever.
Watch that happen too. Dude blasting through hundreds per minute, max betting on 3 separate $2 slot machines. Don't even know if that's allowed, but he didn't give a what. Interesting. Yeah, I find that like the people watching, and this is probably where Russell is, would find it interesting as well. The people watching in Vegas is crazy. You are literally living in a Hollywood movie. Like all the stuff that you don't think is real and that you could not ever believe is there. And it's like, what? And it's depressing. In a lot of ways, it's depressing because there's a lot of people trying to live up to what Vegas can be and failing it. You know, but they're not me. And I'm okay with that. Bettina says, my cousin and her hubby are well off, though. They're able to have a live-in nanny. Yeah, we sure as hell couldn't. There's no way. Whoa, what's everyone getting married in Vegas? David Evans says, yes, we had a similar deal. Me and a buddy went to Vegas for $400 each, flight, hotel, and okay. And 100 in gambling chips. We did not get married. Okay, I saw the word married at the end. I was like, what's going on?
So that's one of those deals where they draw you to Vegas and hope that you spend a lot of money gambling.
Right? Yeah, and Vegas is very much set up that way. Absolutely. Yeah, because they know that they're going to get their money, their investment back through the gambling.
Yeah.
Ian says it was only 1999. It was 1999 for the Vegas wedding in case the world ended in 2000. Fair enough. Well, I'm not out of whiskey, but I'm not having any more because I don't have to work in the morning. But I do have tea. Bunch of alcohol and then caffeine at midnight. What a good idea.
Put some scotch in that tea.
And there is scotch in that tea by default. Bettina says, hold on. Bettina says, I would like to go to Vegas once just to see it, but I don't like gambling and stuff, so I would just people watch maybe a few quarter slots. The thing you got to worry... Start again. The thing you got to be aware of with Vegas is the entire outside is designed to funnel you back into gambling areas or tourist, buy a hat areas. Like you can't just cross the street. There are street crossings, and they're always feeding into it's like Vegas. It's like the Strip. Okay, not Vegas. It's like the Strip is a mall. You know how like in malls the escalators are designed so that you have to walk past stores to get to the next level and all that? The entire Strip is like that. And also it's very hard to get off the Strip. It's very hard for you as someone who is on the Strip and who got bused there from the airport to see what the non-Strip Vegas is like, because you have to work your butt off to find a way off the Strip, So it's a very, very contained existence on the Strip. Yeah, I don't like Vegas. I think everyone needs to see it once, but I don't ever have to see it again. I don't. My city could disappear tomorrow, and I wouldn't give a damn. Although, I hope it doesn't disappear with Tom Jones. But it's just it's weird because it's surrounded by such crazy landscape. Like I'm a guy who, up until about 10 years ago, had never seen a desert in his life, right? And then in one trip, I saw the Badlands in Alberta, and then I saw where my dad is living now in a pocket desert in the Okanagan, and I realized that like it doesn't have to be the boreal forest for me to feel enchanted by the natural world. And then we're down there in Nevada and then Arizona, and surrounded by this alien landscape that was still, in its stark way, utterly gorgeous. Utterly gorgeous. Arid, yeah, absolutely. But still spectacular. Just very different. Very different. Magical. Magical because I'd never seen something like that before. And I often wonder, like, people who grow up surrounded by the Rockies or out in Gaspésie, where you're in this spectacular countryside, or down there, where you've got Red Rock Canyon right next to you or whatever, and grow up with that stuff and just never really look anymore. I noticed the same thing in Gaspésie, where I arrived at the house and it was pitch black out. It was like a street lamp over there kind of thing. And above me, because it was cold and there were no clouds in the sky, there was a field of stars like you would not believe. And so I was gobsmacked. I was knocked on my ass. I got out of the car and I just looked up and went, Eee! And the person with whom I was staying was like, ah, tu aimes ça, désastre. which I it's stupid to say it that way. Oh, you like that stuff. You like planets and stars. This guy never looked up. I said, yeah, of course I like that stuff. Look. And it's like, why? Sure. And then he picked up my bag and went into his house. And I'm like, what? So I kind of feel sad for people who live surrounded by gorgeosity, like in Arizona or the Gaspé or the Rocky Mountains or the North. And they're not in touch with the majesty of the place they live just because they see it every day.
Yeah.
No. People who move out into that and build cabins do it because of an appreciation. People who live there is like, you've got this. It's granted to you by lottery. You were born in the Gaspé. By lottery, you were born in the Rocky Mountains. Drives me crazy. I mean, I'm not blaming these people. It's human nature. You grow up and you sort of shrug off the stuff that you're used to. But, I mean, I shrug off a 400-year-old city. And some people come here and say, oh, this is such a great town. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's okay. It's just a city. So, I mean, I get it. It's just the context is different. But, I would love to be able to become nonchalant about the Northern Lights. You know what I'm saying?
I worry about the same thing because living here, it's like I look at any window, it's glorious. Will I become accustomed to it? Will I become desensitized to it? Will I sit here and think, it's just same old view? It's disturbing.
I don't know. I mean, I hope you don't, because you moved out there for a reason.
Yep. Yep.
I'm just taking a look.
Well, we'll see.
I've missed a lot of the chat here. Oh, my land! I'm so late. Okay, Chris says, I've never been to Las Vegas, but I've heard there are no clocks to be found anywhere. Why would you want? Why? Well, the city is open 24 hours a day, so it doesn't matter what time it is. I didn't see a clock while I was there, but I'm sure there are some somewhere in the city. Bettina says, it's okay. I can afford to travel anyway. I'd want to hike in the desert and go to Grand Canyon. I haven't been to the Grand Canyon since I was a kid. I love Arizona and I love Arizona and New Mexico. Yeah, I wept like a baby when I saw the Grand Canyon. In fact, I did it on camera. I sort of stopped. But, yeah, I've never seen anything like that before. Never. And Cat Mac is, Cat Mac and I understand each other on stuff like this, I think. SV Raven Flintlock says, I lived right on Lake Huron, moved away, and now I go back every weekend. I never appreciated it until now. Man, we spent a weekend, again, I have a playlist about this, on the Bruce, right? So it's like Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Again, like, I never thought that a lake would be that epic. Do you know what I'm saying? I was sitting there, all the windows in our Airbnb were open. It was just like bug screens. I was the only one up. So I'm sitting there and I'm like either editing or planning an episode. I think I was editing, and I heard thunder off in it could have been like 100 kilometers away for all I knew. I have no idea how big that lake is, but it was far. I was like, okay. And then suddenly I heard thunder right outside my freaking window, and rain was everywhere. It was like this epic storm just sort of went boom and then slam, which reminded me of that song by well, while I was running around and shutting all the windows, that song by Stan Rogers, White Squall, about legit about that, how everything on the Great Lakes can be calm and then just suddenly you're sunk kind of thing. But it's just anything that sort of throws the power of nature right in my stupid Jesse face is magical to me. And Bettina says the same thing I'm sort of badly saying. She says it's sad that sometimes we don't see the forest for the trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cat Max says that Vegas is a monopoly of porn. I don't think you're necessarily wrong. Flint. Flint. His name is not Flint. I don't know why I said that. Cliff. Sorry, I know. Grand Canyon is Mother Nature's ass crack. I don't know about that. If that's Mother Nature's ass crack, she's got a sweet ass. David Evans just put a Vegas picture up on Discord.
He's with Elvis.
Elvis.
The
But,
Elvis.
you know, I think everyone should see Vegas at one point. You know, just because it's too ridiculous not to. Excuse me. I'm having tea because that's a good idea at midnight, right? Oh, at almost midnight. But I don't know. So you haven't been to Vegas yet, Russell?
I've never been to Vegas. I'd like to go. I'd like to see the spectacle of it.
Grace says, sorry, but I lived in the Mojave Desert for 1 year and did not like it one bit. I've never seen any place so brown and dry and hot. Not my cup of tea. Yeah, it was dry and brown and hot because that's how you're supposed to say that. It was brown and dry and hot, but like
a poop.
Yuck. But it was new to me. Like it was, you know, it was new to me and alien and like aridly majestic, you know. But I'm really into geology too. Like I'm not a geologist because I never got the math, so I couldn't do the degree. But like you can see geology everywhere you look around there. The Red Rock Canyons, the sandstone around them, you know, the striations in the rock. And I could lose myself for hours in stuff like that. Like just counting the millions of years. And that place is terrific for that. The Saguenay is also really good for that, especially because what happened around the Saguenay, around the fjord du Saguenay, the fjord of the Saguenay, is that like after the last ice age, there was a big upheaval of the earth. So that the striations in some areas, instead of being like horizontal, entire sections of the earth were, you know, switched over so that the striations are actually going vertically. And that tells me that, you know, the greatest story on earth happened right there. I mean, over a long time. So it's not like the whole area went boom and slam and crash and titanic waves or anything, but massive change happened there. Whenever I'm looking at something that old, I kind of wish I could see it happen. I wish I could see it 40 million years ago, 50 million years ago.
I would love to. I would love all that. I would love to go back in time and see lots of things. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, 1 million, 100 million. I would love to have even just a time viewer. I could go back. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I get the same feeling looking at some of the parts of old Montreal, like the parts that are like 300 odd years old. And
yeah,
I would love to see those streets because there's still cobblestone down there. And I would love to see those streets in the gaslight that was there 100 or 200 years ago, in the torchlight that was there when those parts of towns were built.
Oh, yeah. I'd especially love to go back and see like my ancestors, like 400 or 500 years ago. How did they live? What were they like? You know, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm like, I'm so I'm so interested by stuff like that, you know.
I
I'm waiting for what you're going to say because it was way more interesting than what I was going to say.
I'm gonna show you a binder I got from my mom. My mom, I don't even know how this happened, but it's all. My mom gave me a binder, and it traces my family tree on, at least on her side, back to the 1700s, back in Scotland. And
Mhm.
there's all these articles and pictures from then on up to like current day. I'm, going through this and all this information about my ancestors, and I'm like absolutely fascinated. I love it, and I can't. I left it back in the city, but I can't wait to just go through it page by page.
I am
I was like,
fascinated by what you just said because my mom has just finished the exact same process with her family.
oh, nice,
Back
nice.
again to Scotland. She has been in contact with cousins, like far cousins that she never knew existed in Scotland. And so she's got these two huge binders of stuff because she went deep on this thing. So it's really funny to hear that from you.
Oh, I
Chris
can't.
Garland just you speak first. What?
Yeah, I can't wait to share that with you.
Yeah,
That'll be awesome.
yeah, it's interesting stuff. Chris says my dad grew up in Toronto. I took him on his first canoe trip when he was 63 and he saw the night sky for the first time without any light pollution. He was astonished. That's the thing, man. Your first time, if the first time you see the night sky without light pollution or clouds or the frickin' moon in the sky is as an adult, it's like you've been missing that your whole life. You know, I just get lost. If I'm looking up there, like I'm somewhere in the Gaspé where it's dark or any dark sky zone, I mean, man.
I tell you what's wonderful, Jess. You'll come here one day and you'll see it. But we get zero light pollution here, zero.
Amazing.
360 zero light pollution. So you can sit outside and you can look up, and like this is a perfect time of year for it because there's no bugs. It's nice and cool, and you can just lie back. We got a gravity chair for you, Jess. You lie back and you can stare at the stars,
Nice.
watch the satellites. It's glorious.
Yeah. Sounds amazing. Just, and it's funny how out there and on Earth, the timelines the timelines upon which everything moves are so long that we don't notice it happening, but it's all in motion. Our little like maybe 100-year lifespans, we don't see any of it happen, but it's still creeping along. These huge gears are moving.
Good night, Serge.
Oh, it's Serge out? All right. Good night, Serge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna have a long sci-fi talk one night, Jess.
I think we are because we recently discovered over Discord that we have similar reading. Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of reading, but the books I've read, Jess has read also.
Yeah. There's some cool stuff. I plan to do it one day with some friends, YouTube buddies. Also plan to do Carlsbad Caverns. Yeah, that might be interesting too. I get really squirrely underground, but Carlsbad Caverns aren't really that bad, I don't think. I've only ever seen pictures, so I don't really know what I'm saying, but they look spectacular. SV says, closest thing to a desert. Yeah, that's exactly how I wanted to start that. Yeah, sure, you go.
Closest thing to a desert I've been in was a very dry box canyon in Wyoming. There was an archaeological dig a bison kill site for thousands of years. I brought home a bison horn. It crumbled at home.
That must have been fabulous, though. Like, were you involved in the archaeological dig, or did you just see one that was in process?
What is a very dry box canyon?
Like an arid, you know what a box canyon is? How do you explain a box canyon, SV? Excuse me. They're canyons that kind of end. they don't look like boxes necessarily, but it's not like a long canyon where you sort of like, there's the Colorado River. They're canyons that sort of cul-de-sac, if I've got this right after all this booze. But yeah, that sounds really cool. Bettina says, sitting on the dock at the cottage or in my mom's backfield is great for stargazing. Yeah, I would love to have a place that's good for stargazing. Cat's been reprimanded by Russell. All right, good to know. I don't know what I missed, but it was probably all right. Carlsbad Caverns is actually pretty open. Even the trek down is rather spacious. Okay, so yeah, it is fairly open. All right.
I don't know anything about Carlsbad, but isn't it like there's a path through the caverns and it's roped off and you kind of a nice stroll through a
I think
cave?
that's what I've seen in my in pictures. Yeah, okay, so Raven says, yeah, it's 3 sides, right? Box Canyon, it ends. Box Canyons were really good for driving bison into because they couldn't get out the other side, and then just hunting.
Oh, yeah, I've been to some actual caves in Tennessee, some like real caves where you climb in and you got to wear a helmet and you got to crawl through these areas. It's awesome.
Go crazy.
Totally.
I would go absolutely batshit crazy. I envy people who can do that without getting like snaky, but I'm claustrophobic as hell. So like anytime, I even.
There's these areas, Jess, where we were crawling through and you had to turn your helmet sideways because you couldn't get through. And you start to think about, there's probably 100 meters of rock and earth above me right now.
No. Nope.
You're like,
no. Even if I see pictures of that, I can't. I flip the page. I click away. I cannot.
I hope I still have those pictures. I'll show them to you.
Jesus. I was listening to the CBC one night, and not one day, and it was either Quirks and Quarks or one of those shows that's on like on the weekend, and he was talking to an experienced spelunker, but like professionally so, who was guiding a scientist through a series of that kind of cave but underwater, and the scientist ahead of her lost the rope and started to panic, and so this woman was saying this one was panicking ahead of me and we couldn't talk to each other because we were underwater and she lost the rope, and I was like, if I don't play this exactly right, we're both going to die here. And I actually had to turn the radio off. I could not hear the next second of what she was going to say because it was just so. I just cannot handle it.
That's really scary. Spelunking while scuba diving.
Yeah, no way. No.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, the neat thing about the one cave that we went into, we went in, we were like an hour going in and crawling and going through these tight spots. And at the end of the hour, it might have been 2 hours even, at the end of the hour, you get to this big cavern and there's a guest book there. So you sign the guest book. Yeah, and then you head back out. And then we went back another day and went in a different direction. And that was crazy because at one point you come out and there's this like chimney kind of thing where you got to kind of crawl up both sides.
Yeah.
And I was with Ray at the time. And so I went first and he's like, okay, if you're falling, let me know. You like call out or something. And I'm like, so you can catch me? He's like, no, so I can get out of the way.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay. But he's like, yeah, well, one of us has to go for help.
Yeah.
Gets injured.
I just want to sort of hit on a few things. Grace says she's not far from Mammoth Cave and a few smaller caves. I envy you people who are close to these caves. Parts of Utah are considered box canyon. Well, it's anywhere that's sort of where the canyon is sort of. Yeah, SV They drove the bison in, killed them. I was only 14, not part of the dig. Okay. Even where Bettina lives, they have caves out by Evansville. Tight caves would be claustrophobic. I can't. Nope. Garden of the Gods and Cave of the Winds are some cool places to visit also. Yes, absolutely. I've seen a lot of pictures of a lot of cool caves, but I haven't actually seen them in person. Catmac says that her man has a license for caving. I didn't know there was a license for caving. He had his fill in the east. He discovered caves. Never spoke of a cave on the east. I didn't know you could get a license for caving.
What would a license for caving be? I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Whoops. David says, we have caves in our area called hellholes. Very interesting to see closed now for COVID, right? Yeah. Chris says, a cool feeling is when you go into a cave, turn off your headlamp, and it immediately feels like you're no longer in a cave. Sensory deprivation seems to change the perception of an enclosed space. That sounds like a freaking nightmare.
I did find that you do develop tunnel vision because you're wearing a headlamp, and
Right.
so it's completely dark except for exactly what you're looking at. So
Yeah.
But turn off your headlamp.
I would.
Scary as shit.
Yeah. Grace says Mammoth Cave has some routes you can walk, others you have to crawl. If I can walk it, I'm okay. But if I'm having to crawl through, like, no way, ain't gonna happen. No way.
Oh shit.
No. Not gonna happen. I mean, it's not as bad as burning yourself with turkey, but it's what whenever I see something about spelunking in caves and stuff, I want to know who the first person was who figured that if I crawl through this tiny hole that I can hardly bag my ass out of, I know there's going to be a cave on the other side of this.
There's that famous story. Of how some guy, encouraged by a recent discovery of caves, was looking on his property for a cave of his own that he could and make a big deal out of it and possibly, sell rides on it. So he found a hole. And he stuffed himself down the hole, and he kept going. And it was a really tight squeeze. He kept going, got stuck. And and they found, I forget how they found him, but like journalists came out, reporters came out, like there was a big kind of a circus going on. Like people are selling T-shirts of this guy stuck in the hole. And they brought him down food and stuff, but he was stuck and he eventually died because he couldn't get it. Somebody watching must know the story.
Oh my god, what a nightmare. Oh my land. I
know, right? He's stuck upside down, feet up, right?
I would, oh my god, I would be panicking so hard. Like, I'm panicking now. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about something that's very claustrophobic.
Yep, you're turning red.
David wants to get out a van and travel across Canada and the US and visit every nook and cranny. There's one guy, he's from Canada, and his entire channel is he lives in like a big old camper, and he goes to like abandoned places. His whole thing is abandoned places. This abandoned hotel in BC, that abandoned mine, and blah blah blah. He found 3 abandoned like river, those wheelboats and everything. Fantastic channel, and he brings a real documentarian's approach to it. I wish I remembered what it was called, but just crazy stuff. And he's looking at all these really old. He did an entire episode, and this doesn't sound like it would be interesting, but I was wrapped for the whole hour. There was a dépanneur. corner store that the owner died in like 1964, and they just closed the door. And so he went in, and it was left. Nothing has been changed since the day that the owner fell dead right behind the counter. And so he's looking at all this stuff, and like it's literally this: you walk into a store, but nothing has changed since the earlier mid 60s. And I was like, okay. And then
That's
I was
awesome.
like, yeah, okay.
It's like a time capsule.
Absolutely. Exactly. So I clicked on it. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. And then I realized that 20 minutes later, I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Wait, it's 20 minutes later, dude. And that's when I realized I got to see the end of this. And like he had some interviews and stuff where they explained because it was on someone else's private property. So they just padlocked the door. Like it wasn't on the main street where, there was the rent and all this stuff that, if it had been, then obviously it would have been knocked down or whatever. Just, man. And this guy just keeps finding abandoned places to go to every week.
It's wonderful. You know what I love is the abandoned subway stations in New York.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is very interesting as well. Yeah. Yeah. Grace says, that would be a great narrative phone call. I could not participate in that narrative phone call. Even just thinking about this poor guy getting stuck, it's just like the creepiness right up the nape of my neck is just driving me crazy. Absolutely batshit crazy. There's a lot of conversation going on about sort of similar issues to this. A lot of spelunking talk going on.
I would love to see a narrative story come out of one of you guys.
Oh, yikes. What Bettina said. Oh, wait. I read the story about a cave explorer that got stuck in some well-known caves in Utah, I think. He did end up dying and was so stuck they had to just seal him into the cave. I cannot handle that story.
I can't wait until I find those pictures.
Cat Max, she says she's basically married to a man that was a cave person, a spelunker. He has a certification. I'm like, why would anyone do that? But
What
it's funny, like
certification. What is a spelunker certification?
Well, I'm wondering if there's a certifying body, or like how people get dive instructor certified. That can be a little scammy if you don't go for the right. But there's dive licenses, there's yoga instructor licenses. Maybe there's one for spelunking.
It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. All right, I'll be back.
Bettina says it was called the Nutty Putty Cave. So I'm not going to go there. Oh, man, you looked him up? Why? His name was John Edward Jones. He was a med student. Why would you look up something that sad and terrifying? Hey, Bettina, Grace wants me to give you a wrench so that you can post a link. The thing is, I don't want you to post a link because I find this whole concept terrifying. Like, what's his name? The guy who was mountaineering fell down a crevasse or something, he got his arm lodged in a rock or whatever the hell it was, and he had to cut his own arm off just to escape. That sounds horrifying to me, but less so than getting stuck spelunking. Like, there's just the idea of crawling through a piece of rock and knowing that there's like 100 meters of rock between you and the open sky is nightmarish to me. Hey, Tenenbaum is still here. Man, how early is it for you? Or, yeah, how early in the morning is it for you? Yikes. Oh, man, he got stuck upside down, no less. I can't handle this. Stop telling me about it. It's giving me the creepies. Apparently, Cat Max man discovered some really cool caves, but just sort of kept it to himself. How small is he? Coming up on 6 a.m. Oh, you were out cold for a bit there. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's legit. It's funny, Tenenbaum, because I've got like videos to edit and stuff, all kinds of stuff to do. But for the past 2 weeks, everyone will go to bed. I will sit down at the computer, or I will sit down for a minute and wake up at like 3 a.m. and just crawl to bed. Something like I'm having a hard time staying awake now, but it's just I can't do it anymore. It seems I get so tired. Everyone goes to bed. I'm like, sweet, I have my time. I'm going to do my editing. I'm going to do my, and it's done. You guys, a cool YouTube channel for caving is Caver461. He's into rock hounding and goes into some awesome caves, mostly in Ontario and other global sites. What the hell is rock hounding? Cliff, you're absolutely right. I'm going to have some wicked night terrors tonight thinking about this. Camax says, you really don't know about people authorized to go into caves. I didn't know. I didn't know there was such a thing. It was Aaron Ralston in that Slaw Canyon who cut off his arm. Yeah, 127 hours with James Franco. Exactly. Yeah.
What is rock hounding?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell is rock hounding?
People authorized to go into caves. What does that even mean? Like, if you're not authorized, you can't go into a cave? It doesn't make any sense.
No, but at the Grand Canyon, like say if you want to go to the bottom of the Grand Canyon to camp, there's a process you have to go through in order to be allowed to do it, right? And the office where they sort of try to convince you not to do it, on the walls there are pictures of the bloated bodies of people who've died trying to get to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So maybe there's something sort of related to that, or not related, but it's a similar thing. Like where this is a dangerous thing. Are you sure? Do you have the skills? This and that.
It's fair because it's fair because when somebody gets into a problem spot, then other people have to go and try and rescue that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I don't doubt that there's certification involved. I absolutely don't doubt that there's certification involved.
Well, I doubt that you need to be certified to go into a cave, but
no, but there might be like certifications for caves in national parks or national forests or whatever they have down in the States. They've got all these little categories, whereas we just have national parks and provincial parks.
Okay.
And marine things. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm so confused. So damn confused.
Yeah.
And I'm not enjoying the discussion. What do you want? Rush?
Rush beer.
Get back on the rush like last week. Did you say that's a lager? No, it's not a lager. What did you say it was?
It's an IPA.
It's an IPA. I can't do an IPA.
Yeah.
Oh, Rockhound is searching for gems and stuff. Okay. Good to know.
Oh.
Rockhound. Okay. Finding gemstones are similar. Interesting. Okay. Tenenbaum says to see confined space training, but no. I don't want to be trained for confined spaces. I don't ever want to be in the position where I could be stuck in a confined space.
I wonder how you'd feel. I wonder how you'd feel on the ISS, the International Space Station.
It's funny that you mentioned that because in a related thing, I sometimes wondered how I would feel on a submarine. And like, does the thrill of discovery outweigh that, or do you have to spend all your time sort of clamping down on a sense of fear? Like if you're claustrophobic, astronauts are not. I mean, these people are psychologically chosen, physically chosen. Like, but like for someone like me who is claustrophobic, would I be constantly trying to clamp down on a feeling of fear, or is the thrill of where the hell I am worth it? Like, does that overpower the claustrophobia?
I'll tell you what, Jess. When you come here, I've got on my VR system, my Oculus Quest. There is I forget what exactly it's called. But it's like explore the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually there in the space station, and you can climb around with the
Cool.
paddles, and you can look at everything and like float around, and that's awesome.
Oh, that sounds
So
cool.
that's probably the single best thing you could do to try it out.
Right. Just to sort of see. Cat Mac is out. All right. Have a good one.
Good night, Cat.
Yeah. Bettina says, no thanks to the submarine. Yeah. David Evans says, I took confined space training as part of my job when I worked in a process plant. Confined space is used when entering drying mills, tanks, etc. Bettina, yes, I did hear that Shatner's going to space. Yeah.
He is? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
With Blue Origin. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It's it's funny because he was being interviewed today about how he felt about doing it, because they've been put off by a day because of clouds. And he was talking, and it's like William Shatner's a bit of a caricature of himself and everything. But I was hearing him talk, and I realized that I have heard that voice of his and that way of speaking, just like the timbre of it, for my whole bloody life. As a young man, like on the first Star Trek, all the way through all the movies, which I've seen, of course, and it's like that voice is so familiar. And when you think of voices that are that level familiar, you usually think about like Morgan Freeman, guys like that. But he's been talking my whole fucking life too, right?
Yep.
And even though he's a caricature, there's some element of comfort to hearing that voice. Because of Star Trek. I mean, I guess T.J. Hooker was good, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, he probably made a lot more money from T.J. Hooker than he did from Star Trek.
I do not doubt that. I absolutely do not doubt that.
I heard a great story, though. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Some guy. This story was told by some guy sitting in a restaurant in California, in LA. I forget what the kind of restaurant it was, but he's sitting there eating his food, and he looks over. There's Arnold Schwarzenegger there with his two kids. There's one kid with his wife, and there's one kid with his cleaning lady. So they're sitting there eating lunch. William Shatner walks in. Sees Arnold, goes up to him and says, "Hey, hi Arnold, I'm William Shatner." And Arnold, like, kind of glances up at him, shakes his hand and said, "Good to meet you. Good to meet you." And that was it. And William Shatner's like, "Oh, okay, that was weird." Like Arnold's like not even looking at him now. So, so William Shatner turns and walks out, and one of Arnold's kids is like, "That was William Shatner, Dad. That was William Shatner." And Arnold's like, "I do not know who this man is. I don't know who he is." Like, oh, he's on all the price shopping ads,
yeah.
whatever it is. Oh, I do not know who this man is.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious because that's not the touchstone you want, right? Chris says, for you and me, a question. Would either of us go into one of those sensory deprivation tanks? Float is the name of the ones around here, for example. I think I would like to try that at some point. Like,
So that's like a quiet room, essentially.
It's like straight up silent. It's pitch black. I'd like to
all I'd
try it.
hear is the ringing. All I'd hear is the ringing in my ears.
All I would hear is the demons in my head. But I'm interested in
Kill things. Kill everything.
nobody likes.
Okay, I'll do it. You know.
Grace Martin says demonetized for sure. Yeah, I think I might have used salty language, but
Yeah, we're way past that.
yeah. Yeah. I love it. Bro, do you even lift? But bro, do you even lift? David likes your Arnold imitation.
Shatner, do you even lift, bro?
Do you even lift, bro? Yeah, but yeah, I would. I don't know. I think I might like to try the sensory deprivation tank, just because maybe it would be calming in some way. You know.
Well, so people say that you go into the tank where you can't hear anything, you can't see anything, you can't
Feel it, yeah,
what are
whatever.
the other 5 sentences,
Stop.
and you go crazy if you're in there for like 45 minutes. You go crazy because you have sensory deprivation. I think it's bullshit. I could very easily
close your eyes and slip into sleep.
In fact, there's a video on YouTube I watched where a guy went into one of those tanks. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it. 45 minutes." And he was fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Forget sensory deprivation. Sit on my deck for an hour. It's not sensory deprivation, but it's like right now there's not a lot of noise. There's very little because birds have head south and whatever, but
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
quiet.
It's a different. I keep thinking about. In the movies, there's like the main characters from New York, and then they go to like down to New Orleans or something, and they're going to bed, and they put on a tape of traffic. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is that what they do?
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like in movies where it's like the New Yorker goes to like small town Oklahoma and has to put on a tape so that he can sleep. That shit is real, dude. I'm speaking as someone who A, knows people in New York, and B, or like large cities, much like you do, and B has been down there, and like the quiet of the countryside can really throw you. If what lulls you to sleep every night is the constant hum of traffic and sirens. Cat Max said exploring caves is different from going into an unexplored cave. You have to be prepared.
Well,
I get that.
Wait, I thought Cat went to bed. Anyway, I kind of get that because City Girl is in a house right now. Like we still have the rental in the city, but our kids have all left and the families and all that stuff. So she's alone. So when she goes to bed at night, she wants to hear noise.
Yeah.
Like she wants to hear something happening because it's really weird if it's quiet for her.
Yeah, and I get that. I really do. But I do love the quiet of sleeping out in the woods. Like the noise you hear, it's never absolutely silent. It's just the noise is different. And I really, man, I love it.
It's funny because City Girl said one night she's like, I'm trying to sleep and there's no noise, but the guy in the property, a couple of properties away, started working on his car and swearing and shit. And she's like, oh, good noise. I can go to sleep.
Right. I love it. I love it. I'm just taking a look here. Yeah, I like what. Oops, that's not what I meant to click.
Strauss.
Less Strauss. It could be Strauss. Less Strauss. Nature deficit disorder. Absolutely. Oh man, there's a lot of disorder. Like everyone is sort of going off on an Arnold riff here.
It's not a tumor.
I would be Bach. You can be Strauss. That's Strauss. This conversation is getting weirder and weirder by the second here. Although you're the one who brought up the Arnie. I blame you. The Arnold.
Yeah, totally. Blame me for anything.
You know, I remember when I was in LA, I was there with the company I was working with. We were there for a trade show. And we wanted to go to Spago, which was this restaurant owned by like Vanna White's husband or something. A lot of the hoi polloi went there. You know, whatever. And in order to get in, we had to concoct this story whereby my boss was a Canadian senator and we were his staff. Because otherwise they weren't going to let us in. So we walked in and sat down, and you know, I called him Mr. Senator for the whole night or whatever. But I kind of don't think that the restaurant was good enough to be that exclusive. It was a good restaurant, you know. My boss ordered he wanted to know about the foie gras, and the guy was like, everything was a presentation, and we played it with this, and it's a foie gras presentation with 4 different kinds of foie gras, and this is very creamy, and that's very blah and blah in the presentation, and this and that in the presentation, and this and that in the presentation, and we played it and this and that, and I'm like, oh God, somebody just get me a fucking sandwich. And it ended up being the food was good, but it was more about the presentation than the actual quality of the eats. Like, I've had food that was just as good, just not quite as dramatically plated. And so we left and like thanked the gods that was being paid for by the company, because it was ridiculously expensive, because there was like Dana Carvey eating in the corner and blah 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 eating in the other corner or whatever. But it's just like, restaurants are where you go to throw money away so that you don't have to make your own food.
And you don't have to do your own dishes.
And you don't have to do your own dishes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. David says the only external noise they have is a train going by, but you're totally immune to it. And when I was younger, we lived next to a place. We lived in a place that was next to a railroad as well. Same thing. You get used to any noise. Yeah, Bettina has a hard time falling asleep on purpose, but if you're tired and lay down with the YouTube or the TV on, you can't keep your eyes open. Yeah, I have the same issue. Christ, it's 10 past. I was going to say it's 10 past noon. It's 10 past midnight. God. SV says, my 6-year-old can't sleep with the crickets.
That's weird.
Bettina says, now that I've laid down, if I stop talking, you will know what may have happened. Got it. Yeah. So, of course, Ian says, good night, Bettina.
Good night, Bettina. Love you, Bettina.
Oh. God, it's 12 past 12. I'll wait until 15 past 12. There are still 15 of you listening to this, for God's sakes. What is going on? But I'm starting to really fade. So like at 12, 15, 12:30 max, we'll shut her down. But I do have to see a man about a hearse, so I will allow Russell to be entertaining. I'll be right back.
I'll take over. I'll take over and talk about
stuff. About Pink Floyd? The Wall?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Let's talk about stuff, baby. Let's talk about you and me. David says, just opened a Lech, a fine Polish premium beer. Jess, you must now go to 12:45 a.m. I firmly commit to 12:45 a.m. on Jess's live stream. We're here because we love Jess and Russell. Yeah, if you shit, I mean, if you're not getting your Friday night Books Fest fix, come to Tuesday night. because apparently I have enough bandwidth for this. We're getting like 300 to 500 kilobits, and that's apparently all we need. Russell, you're the man. David, shotgun, David. Tannenbaum says live stream marathon. I can totally commit to just doing a live stream marathon. Yeah, I can do it. I can do that commitment. I'm going to bed. Going to head to bed, but may keep you two on. You can do it. Success Tuesday night. This is one of those nights where I've had a few beers and I can't like talk without slurring, you know, or in fact, I had the problem after my first beer. I can't talk without slurring. I don't know, it is. He's back. Eating something. He's chewing. He's putting his headphones on. He's hitting the mic button. There he is. Welcome back, Jess. I totally handled it, Jess. Nice. So David said you have to go to 12:45.
Why?
Because he opened a fine Polish premium beer.
All right. It's like 10 o'clock. This is quite the live stream marathon we're going on here.
I don't make the rules. I just
drink them.
Let anybody make rules.
SV says he's heading to bed, but may try to keep us on. Books Fest Tuesday night.
If we had music playing, that'd be like the best.
Yeah. I do not do them. Yeah, exactly. Who said that? Catmax says, "You don't have little kids, Russell."
Yeah,
this is going to be like tomorrow morning. This morning is going to be epic. Epic.
Yeah, Cat's still here. Yeah, no, I have little grandkids that are now in Saskatchewan, but
Saskatchewan, what are they doing there?
Low rent.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely fair.
I mean, it's like 900 and something a month. Mm-hmm. This is the cheapest rent in Canada right now.
Right.
I'll tell you what.
Crazy.
Oh my God. My son talked me into a Taco Bell run. Shit.
Yeah, you're gonna stay up all right. I don't think I've ever even had Taco Bell. I've never even seen a Taco Bell. There might be a Taco Bell in Montreal somewhere, but I don't know where it would be. Probably on the West Island. What was that? David Evans. Sorry, Jess. I forget. I'm essentially retired and retarded. Both in one beautiful package, I guess.
Taco Bell used to be awesome because it used to be like the taco, you put in the meat, the cheese, the tomato, the whatever. But now they don't do the tomato bit. It's a salsa.
Okay.
So they put the salsa in, and then the salsa has stuff that doesn't agree with my stomach, like chives and other crap.
I wonder if the salsa is why Taco Bell has this image of giving people the runs.
Well, no, it was a thing way back when I was eating Taco Bell, like Married with Children. Remember that?
Mm-mm. I mean, yes, but I've only ever seen one episode. I hated Married with Children. I thought that was terrible TV. The only thing I liked about Married with Children was... Never mind.
Sorry?
No.
Continue.
No. I'm not going to say that. Because it was, typically male and sexist. But
Okay, fair enough. I get you.
Yeah.
You know, there was a back when it was still on the air. There's a story in the newspapers how a son father got into a fight because they were arguing about who was hotter, the mom or the daughter, and one of them ended up knifing the other.
such a stupid argument. Such a stupid, it's the daughter, by the way, argument. I mean, come on. It's fiction, for God's sakes. But like that show was terrible.
It was.
You know, I was like, the acting was bad, the lines were bad, the spoken lines were bad. I mean, it's one of those shows I would like see 5 minutes of and think, this is why. You know, when I was in Cégep, which I know we only have in Quebec, but for those of you who don't live here, which is everyone hanging out with me right now, Cégep is what I guess we call college here. It's the stage between university and high school. Flip that around, between high school and university, right? So it's essentially free university. It lasts from 2 to 4 years, depending on if you're in a career program or a pre-university program. While I was there, I started taking some communications classes. And in one of them, the teacher said, I know, but you know what? None of you really hate TV. And we were all like, what? And he said, you hate bad TV. And he proceeded over the next semester to show us that we didn't hate TV. We really just, and this is when the Death Star was first coming around, right? The 100-channel universe. The end of the Indian head at the end of the night, like, you know, at the end of the broadcast day. Remember, it used to show that circle with a Indian head in it, and before that there'd be like the national anthem and a flag, waving flags. You don't remember this?
I get what you're saying. They didn't broadcast all night long.
Yeah. And so this was just at the end of that, and it was, you know, the Death Star was going up. They were calling it, which was 100 channels or 1,000 channels or whatever. It's what we have now, but everyone was all panicking about it. But he was right. I don't hate TV. I hate bad TV, and I hate Married with Children. And I like things like Planet Earth, and you know, like there's so much good TV around right now that it feels like we're in a golden age for TV. Another golden age, because there was a golden age already. The 70s were fantastic. But I don't watch any of it. So there's this golden age going on, and I don't have time to enjoy any of it, you know?
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is completely. There's good writing and there's bad writing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is. I've seen, like, Simpsons is a great example. They've had years of great writing, and then they've had years of terrible, terrible writing. Like, people who have no sense of humor at all are trying to write jokes. It's awful.
Right.
And then they had good writing again. But great shows like Cheers, or I know you don't like Married with Children, but
I hated that show. Cheers had real good points to it, though. But it was a different time, you know?
It's all in the writing. You have good writers or you have bad writers.
You know what? Grace Martin says something about Married with Children that actually kind of rings true. It was so terrible, it was good. You know when you watch something that's so bad that you kind of like it?
Well, the Married with Children thing is like my life sucks, but look at these guys. Their life also sucks. It's like mine. So I can feel good about my life because I'm watching this life that's even worse than mine.
Well, check out this comment from Bettina. I've watched clips of All in the Family. It brings back memories. I watched clips. I used to watch that show as a kid, man. That was a terrific
dated.
show. Yeah, it's very, very dated. Absolutely. Yeah. I cannot believe how late we're going tonight, man. Yeah, it looks like we're not the only ones who know. Gilligan's Island. The thing is, Gilligan's Island was part of a very specific side of TV. It wasn't a terrific show, but compared to what a
There's-
non-terrific show today is, it was pretty good.
There's two very interesting things about that show. The first is that people hated the fact that the professor and Marianne were not in the original theme song.
There was that
The millionaire and his wife.
Yeah.
And then they had in
movie star,
the professor and Marianne.
Marianne. Yeah. Oh, were
Yeah.
they not in it originally?
They weren't in the original song, but a lot of people complained. And the second amazing thing is the actress who played Marianne, her husband was an agent, and at the time that they were signing contracts, like everybody involved thought this is might last a season, maybe 2 seasons, and then it's done, whatever. So all the actors signed away their future rights to the show. They said, for a couple $1,000, yeah, I don't care about reruns, or whatever, blah blah blah. But Marianne's agent said, yeah, it could go into syndication. It could, go on for a long time. So she held out, and the producers of the show said, yeah, whatever, because they didn't think it would go on forever either. So she didn't sign away rights to future episodes. She kept it.
Yeah.
And she ended up making millions and millions and millions of dollars from the reruns because it's perennial on TV, right?
Yeah. But it's the same with Sir Alec Guinness and Star Wars, right? He's like, don't pay me too much, just give me points. And they all thought they were making a funny little movie for kids. I mean,
Yeah.
You never know. Cat Mac hated Married with Children as well. David says, I like stupid humor like Seinfeld, Married with Children, How I Met Your Mother. I kind of think that Married with Children is way stupider than either How I Met Your Mother or Seinfeld, though.
Seinfeld, I would put in a different category altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Seinfeld, the Seinfeld writers knew that even though there might be separate stories going on, they will interact with each other and maybe go away again and then interact again. And it was just beautifully done. It was very, very well written. Like a kind of a new take on the comedy genre.
Yeah.
MASH is another oldie and goodie.
Yeah,
MASH. So MASH is another one of those ones where the writers were just gold.
Yeah,
the writing on MASH is gold.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just a fantastic, a seminal show. Yeah, it's funny because when I was in university studying communications, we definitely looked at MASH a lot. There was a lot of MASH was like the quintessential of many, many things. Such a good show.
Yeah.
And it's funny because MASH took place in one war, but it was a commentary on another war. I'm trying so hard not to sort of dive into the politics of this whole thing, but it was very much a political show coming out when it did. Because I believe MASH was supposed to take place in the Korean War, but it was a commentary on the Vietnam War. If I'm remembering this correctly after having drunk all night.
I have no idea. There was a war going on. I don't know. I thought it was Vietnam, but you're saying.
I'm going to check that out because maybe I'm totally misremembering this. Misremembering. That doesn't seem like a real word.
Misremembered? Sure.
Yeah. MASH. I don't mean MASH and the bear, for God's sakes. Silliness. I still remember the actual lyrics to the theme song. Yes.
Oh shit! I can't. Oh yeah. Let me tell this story. I watched MASH for years, like the TV series, years and years, and then it wasn't that long ago. I watched the MASH the movie, and was stunned that there were lyrics to the theme song.
Oh, really?
I was absolutely stunned.
But you can see why they couldn't play that on TV.
Suicide
It is painless. It brings on many changes. And then I can take or leave it if I please. It's like, this is not. I see why they changed it for TV.
I was shocked. That
Yep.
Because the MASH theme song is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful for the TV show.
Yeah. So it says here, the 407th 7th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital is stuck in the middle of the Korean War. Yeah, and that's the thing. They were trying to make a comment on the Vietnam War, but they were using the Korean War so that it wouldn't be overt enough to get them kicked off the air.
Oh,
and
okay.
And Alan Alda,
okay,
based on that show, I mean, that show was him coming into his own, because he ended up being able to make decisions and stuff, and it really launched his career in a really big way. Well, and it's
even more than that. Alan Alda is a terrific human being.
Yes.
When I forget whatever studio owned the show, sold it to their daughter company at a loss and said, "Oh, screw you, all you actors and people who were getting like money from future episodes. We just sold it all at a loss, so you get nothing."
Yeah.
But they sold it to a daughter company, and Alan Alda took them to court and said, "No, you can't do that. Fuck you. You can't just take a loss on that." And he won. So and he's been in tons of stuff. He was on the West Wing for a couple of seasons as well. Wonderful actor.
Yeah, wonderful actor. Interesting guy. Enchanted by Science. He did a documentary series where he was interviewing scientists as well. Once you've hit a certain level in your career or your success, then you have the freedom to pursue your interest. I'm thinking about Alan Alda doing interviewing scientists on a documentary series, or what's his name, James Cameron, going to the bottom of the freaking ocean in that submersible because now he can, and now he's an explorer.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If I had that kind of money, I would love to go to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, see how deep it really goes. But
it's fucking deep. It's like 7 kilometers or something.
Yeah, it's deep as hell. Absolutely.
Anyway, I gotta say, man, about Hearst, but I'm gonna come back and tell you a Monty Python story.
Okay. Then I will stay online, just for you. Just to hear the story. Cat Mac's father was a Marine in Korea and Vietnam. That must leave him. Oh yeah, she started with my father was messed up. Absolutely. Jamie Farr, very high stage. Sucked for my guy. His son got it. Yeah, I have a brother who's a former commando, and is now a military helicopter pilot. He's been to some pretty rough spots, and I wonder, sometimes how he sleeps. I don't mean that in the typical, how can you do this way? I mean this in the way of someone who has known people with PTSD and knowing that he went through Afghanistan 3 times, and he went to Mali. He went to Mali because the UN needed helicopter pilots who had experience, landing and taking off under fire. And you can't go into a war zone without coming away a little changed by it. And so I wonder sometimes what I wonder what his nights are like sometimes. David Evans' dad was a tail gunner in World War II. David, I don't remember if you're in Canada or in the United States, but if you were in Canada, was he on one of the mighty Lancasters? I have a grandfather who worked on Lancasters, but he worked at the training facility here, training Lancaster crews. I would not have wanted to be a tail gunner on any aircraft. That seems to have been the worst of the worst. Nope, he was back and now he's going away. I may need another piece of cheese before I go to bed.
Hello.
I was trying to keep them entertained, but I think they were just waiting for you.
There's still beer in this thing.
There's no tea left in this.
Can I tell you my Monty Python story?
Sure.
Actually, it's a Michael Palin story. Who was huge in Monty Python. I've told this story before. Some of the Raspberry Rock people here might have heard it before, but I'm going to tell it again. Anyway, Michael Pollan did a travel show back in the early 2000s. I think
I've seen it.
2000s.
Yeah, I've seen
And
it.
he did a travel show. He'd go to, and it. So what reminded me of this is that you're saying, like, at one point you get to a stage where you can do whatever you want, kind of thing. And I think this was his stage. He's like, I want to do a travel show, and they're like, yeah, let's do a Michael Pollan travel show.
Sure.
And it was wonderful. He'd go to these really remote places, like these crazy remote places across the planet, and just do a documentary on whatever. And it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway, he went to the Himalayas. I think it was the Himalayas in Tibet, wherever. Anyway, he and his crew went to, like, way up in the mountains, and they went to this village, and they're like talking to these people through interpreters and stuff, and they're like, oh, but you need to go a couple of days journey, west, because there's a really old guy who lives in a cabin, and we hardly ever see him, but he lives in his cabin. He's in his 80s, but he wrote a song. He writes poetry and he writes songs, and one of the songs was turned into a big hit by, like, a local star, a huge hit. And Michael Pollan's like, yeah, we definitely got to go see this guy. We definitely got to go see this guy. So they rented a couple of donkeys, and they loaded up all their film equipment, and so they traveled across the mountains 2 days, and they eventually found this guy. And through an interpreter, they were talking to this guy, and Michael Pollan's like, can you sing the song that was really popular? Can you sing the song? And the guy starts singing, and it's beautiful, it's lyrical, it's soft and melodic and stuff. And then he stops, and then he says to Michael Pollan, well, have you written any songs? Can you sing anything to us?
Oh, God.
And Michael Pollan's like, whoa, well, probably not anything you've ever heard of before. I'm a lumberjack, and I'm okay. I sleep all night, and I work all day. And the guy's like, oh.
Yeah.
My favorite Michael Pollan story.
That's kind of amazing. That was a cool show. I didn't see that episode though, but I do remember one where he was on this fishing boat or something, traveling somewhere, and like the toilet was a hole hanging off the side of the boat. Yeah, but like he was the Python to do that show. That show would not have worked with any of the other Pythons.
He was wonderful. Yeah, he was wonderful.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, it is now 12:38, which means that I'm going to hurt tomorrow morning. So I'm going to, and we're down to 14 people watching. 14 very impressive people. I can't believe you guys. I cannot believe you guys. You guys are great, man. I love you all. But yeah, I'm going to clean up all these bottles, and I'm going to go to bed, and then I'll wake up in the morning. and likely hate life. But yeah, so thanks to everyone who hung out. I hope to see you all next week. Between now and then, as I always say, please stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and be kind to one another. Good night. See you next week.
Peace.